Chapter 2136. The giant was starting to show signs of losing. But the battle was longer than he had imagined. The giant's strength wasn't just its invincible power. It was also because it had the world's largest source of evil behind it. This source of evil also brought him near limitless power. It was probably the most tenacious enemy Qin Zhao had ever faced. Even the black trident in Qin Zhao's hand couldn't deal fatal damage to it. The black trident's greatest effect was to stop fatality. But the giant before him wasn't a living thing. Here, he could remove the injured parts at will. Therefore, this also delayed the battle. But it was only temporary. As time went on, Qin Zhao would only get stronger. The giant kept absorbing the negative emotions of the prisoners in the 4,000-odd prisons in the U.S. Then Qin Zhao would cut off parts of the giant's body and devour them. Originally, Qin Zhao's body would be gold after transforming into Jin. By now, Qin Zhao's body had gradually turned from gold to black. This was because the effect of dark assimilation was starting to surpass that of Jin. The towering giant in front of them was simply too huge. In terms of energy level, it was even stronger than Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao felt like he was almost there. He was about to reach his limit. If he continued, he might get indigestion. It was a pity, but Qin Zhao still planned to end it. It seemed like this process could increase his power limitlessly. Actually, it wasn't possible. For one, there was a limit to his current level. Moreover, the source of this power was the prisoners in the prison. He kept absorbing their negative emotions. In fact, he was absorbing their energy. No one's energy was limitless. If he only absorbed for a while, it would at most make the prisoners listless. But if this continued, the prisoners would die for sure. No matter how cruel Qin Zhao was, he didn't want millions of people to die. So, he didn't want to keep delaying. He wanted to end this war. Qin Zhao deactivated dark assimilation. At the same time, the dark magma spread out completely. Instantly, the dark magma spread out and turned into the sky. It covered the entire world. Of course, this included the sky-high giant. The giant looked up at the sky. He knew what he was facing. He punched with all his might, trying to break through the darkness. However, the dark magma had already devoured too much of his power. Even if Qin Zhao didn't do anything himself, Qin Zhao would still be able to do it. The dark magma alone was enough to suppress the sky-reaching giant. "It's over," Helith said calmly. She hadn't seen Qin Zhao fight in a long time. She remembered that during the last underground exploration, she didn't go with them because of her personal attributes. Later, it was said that they met the elemental son Armand Didier underground. Qin Zhao even started a grand battle with Amanda Didier. She had been upset for a long time because of this. And now, Qin Zhao was fighting the giant. It showed her how powerful Qin Zhao was. When the dark magma fell, he had nowhere to run. The dark magma was like a piece of cloth covering the giant's body. The giant struggled in the dark magma. But in the end, under the black curtain, all struggles were futile. The dark magma began to shrink, and the giant began to struggle even more violently. However, the struggle didn't last long before it returned to normal. The dark magma was corrosive. Of course, to be more precise, it was digestion. The nature of the dark magma was similar to stomach acid. However, the food they digested was completely different. The world started to collapse. Qin Zhao returned to Helith's side. Right now, Morocco Bic, Toddy Belster, Daniel, and Anto Trezek were all looking at Qin Zhao in awe. Qin Zhao glanced at them and then said to Helith, "We should leave. Mr. Qin. Boss Qin, take us with you." Morocco Bic looked at Qin Zhao pleadingly. Seeing the collapsing world in the distance, they felt fear from the bottom of their hearts. This was actually the collapse of the alternate dimension. It would only expel creatures out of the dimension. When those things existed, they maintained this place. Now, Chen Zhao had destroyed them. The power to maintain this place was gone. This place wasn't destroyed. It just returned to chaos. It was like a drop of water falling into the ocean. Chen Zhao reached out. "Hold my hand," he said. Everyone hurriedly grabbed Chen Zhao's arm. Chen Zhao felt it was a pity that the tunnels had been destroyed along with the collapse of the alternate dimension. However, Chen Zhao didn't plan on using his own power to maintain this alternate dimension. It was too huge. Maintaining it would consume a lot of Chen Zhao's immortal power. The moment the alternate dimension collapsed in front of Chen Zhao's figure flashed, tearing through the air. Countless distorted images flashed before everyone's eyes. When they opened their eyes again, they'd returned to the normal world. Boom! There was an explosion in the prison. The moment Chen Zhao appeared, he'd shattered a portion of the building. Alarms rang in the prison. Both the prisoners and the prison guards were in chaos. "Helith, bring him back to the headquarters. The rest will be in God's hands," Chen Zhao said, pointing at Anto-Trezek. Helith glanced at the other three. A ball of black air appeared in her hand. "If you tell anyone about what happened today, trust me, you'll encounter something even more terrifying than what's inside." The three of them looked at Helis with trepidation. "Boss Chen, then, what about me?" Morocco Bic looked at Chen Zhao. "Forget about the money you owe me. I'll also arrange for a lawyer to bail you out under the name of medical parole. Also, you have to pay the bail this time. If you dare to waste my money again, I'll throw you into hell. Don't doubt if I can do it." "I don't dare. I don't dare." Morocco Bic hurriedly waved his hands. Chen Zhao's gaze landed on Toddy Belster again. "Come with me. I have something to ask you." Chen Zhao brought Toddy, Anto-Trezek, and Helith out of prison 7. As for the chaos he'd caused, it wasn't in his consideration at all. Toddy and Anto-Trezek were terrified. They didn't know what Chen Zhao was going to do to them. "Did the psionic team contact you?" Chen Zhao asked, looking at Toddy Belster. "Psionic team? Who? Bookmark for easier reading." Chapter 2137. "You've received an invitation, right?" Chen Zhao asked. "Invitation? Oh. I remember now." Toddy didn't dare to hide anything from Chen Zhao. He hurriedly said, "Boss Chen, that invitation has something to do with you." "It's from my enemy," Chen Zhao said calmly. "Then I'll turn them down right away." Toddy Belster had perfected the art of saying what was right and what was wrong. Of course, this sentence was also from the bottom of his heart. Putting aside the fact that he was a fake spiritualist. Even if he really had the ability. He didn't want to be Chen Zhao's enemy. The person before him was a real monster. In fact, Toddy felt that monsters were much cuter than Chen Zhao. "No, I hope you can join them." Chen Zhao's expression was indifferent. It was as if he was letting Toddy make the decision. In reality, Toddy didn't have a second choice. "But, Boss Chen, you said it yourself, that's your enemy, right?" I'm not even a fringe character. If I hide beside that psionic team, it'll be easy for me to be exposed. As long as you wear the ring, they won't suspect you. There are a few dangerous places in LA. I'll help you clean them up. Then, you can take credit. I don't think anyone will suspect you. And you can help me pass on some internal information about the psionic team." Chen Zhao nodded. "That's right. Toddy Belster was hesitant, her expression uncertain. He couldn't help but sneak a look at Qin Zhao. He wanted to see Qin Zhao's expression. In any case, the risk of such a thing was too great. If he was exposed, the psionic team definitely wouldn't let him go. But if he rejected Qin Zhao's request, what would Qin Zhao do to him? Toddy didn't dare to imagine. If you accept, Qin Zhao said, I'll give you enough money to spend for the rest of your life after this. Talking about feelings with a liar was a complete waste of his time. What did a liar need? Money, of course. It was more practical for Qin Zhao to talk about money directly. Toddy waited for the second half of Qin Zhao's sentence. But he didn't say it. The second half of the sentence was a threat. Qin Zhao didn't need to say anything. It was up to Toddy Belster to experience it himself. All right, I'll agree to your request. In the end, Toddy Belster didn't dare to say the words of refusal. He did not dare to imagine what kind of revenge he would face if he rejected Qin Zhao's request. Some things were just like that. The more vague they were, the more awe-inspiring they were. Qin Zhao smiled. You'll receive a check soon. Do things for me and don't play any tricks with me. The last person who betrayed me already made me very unhappy. I don't want a second one. What happened to the last person who betrayed you? I'm a law-abiding citizen, Qin Zhao said helplessly, shrugging. In reality, Qin Zhao couldn't afford to offend the behemoth behind Yonghua. However, Qin Zhao said it in a euphemistic way. But when Toddy Belster heard it, she felt her hair stand on end. Qin Zhao and Hallis left with Anto Trezek. Only Toddy Belster was left standing there. At that moment, a headlight appeared on the road in the distance. A car was approaching from afar. The car stopped in front of Toddy Belster. Then Vistana and Yonghua hurried out of the car. Mr. Toddy, are you okay? I'm fine. I'm great. Prison 7. What happened there? Vistana looked at the prison in the distance. Although they were far away, they could still hear the siren of the 7th prison clearly. Nothing. Toddy Belster guessed that the two were probably from the psionic team. He thought about their words and actions before entering prison 7. He was now sure that Vistana and Yonghua were from the psionic team. Mr. Toddy, did you encounter anything out of the ordinary in prison 7? I did, but it's already taken care of, Toddy Belster said calmly. Vistana and Yonghua glanced at each other. Yonghua said, can you tell us in detail about the situation there? A group of unclean souls that missed the human world and plotted a scheme, but don't worry. It's fine now. Even though Yonghua asked him to explain in detail, Toddy Belster still kept it simple. He didn't know the details in the first place. He only had a vague idea of the general situation. Mr. Toddy, you took care of it. I'm tired. I need a place to rest, Toddy Belster said calmly. If you don't mind, you can rest at our headquarters. Okay. Yonghua and Vistana were both delighted. After all, it was a good start. They didn't expect to rope Toddy Belster in just by providing a place to stay. However, since Toddy didn't reject them, it meant that he wasn't against it. In fact, Toddy was panicking too. But he couldn't show it. As a liar, he couldn't take both sides. Especially when Qin Zhao knew his true colors. He could only choose to get close to Qin Zhao. The consequences of betraying Qin Zhao were obvious. Every time he thought of Qin Zhao's calm smile, he shuddered. Sitting in the back seat of Yonghua and Vistana's car, Toddy Belster's expression was unsettled. Yonghua and Vistana thought that Toddy had something to worry about. Mr. Toddy, is something wrong? Maybe we can help you. It's nothing. Previously, That thing set up a channel in all the prisons in the United States, specifically to absorb the negative emotions of all the prisoners in the prison as a source of its own power. Although I stopped it this time, there's no guarantee that other ambitious people won't do the same thing. Yanghua and Vistana were slightly surprised. So this was the purpose of these people. They'd been guessing before, even though they knew that the plan wasn't child's play. But after hearing Toddy Belster's words, he was still shocked. Mr. Toddy, don't worry. Our organization has high authority. We'll deal with it and stop it completely. That's for the best. I don't want the same thing to happen again. Luckily, I stopped it this time. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. She also understood that it wasn't that Chen Zhao didn't care about them. Chen Zhao took care of their lives and bodies to the extreme. However, Chen Zhao wasn't a very understanding person. So, Didi felt that she had to give Chen Zhao advice. Didi Law is still the best. What gift do you want? Tell me later. Whatever you want, Uncle will buy it for you. Didi smiled bitterly. Sometimes, Chen Zhao's EQ was really low. After Chen Zhao and Didi left, they went directly to the mall in town. At the entrance of the mall, Chen Zhao parked the car. Didi was waiting for Chen Zhao at the door. When Chen Zhao came over, he saw some children surrounding Didi. Didira took out her wallet and handed $2 bills to the child in front of her. The children handed 2 folded flowers to Didi. Chen Zhao walked over and looked at the children who'd already left. Are those children from the orphanage? Usually, the children from the orphanage would come out on holidays and sell some handicrafts. Most handicrafts were very crude and cheap, but buyers usually didn't care about their actual value. People who were willing to buy these things didn't do it for the so-called cheap and good quality. No, those children aren't orphans. Didi shook her head. Then who are they? They're here to collect money, but it's for the Leukemia Foundation. Their teacher is over there. Chen Zhao followed Didi's finger and saw that the children were surrounding a man wearing glasses and plain clothes. The man looked gentle and kind, which made people have a good impression of him. Familiarity was indeed a strange thing. Some people would make people hate them at first glance, while others would make people feel good about them at first glance. The man wasn't exactly handsome, but he did give people a good impression. The children surrounded him, and their faces were also filled with joy. The man seemed to feel Chen Zhao's gaze. He looked at Chen Zhao and nodded slightly. It's almost Christmas. Are you still in school? That man should be a trusteeship teacher, or a kind of private tutor, Didi said. When my parents were still alive, we lived in the city for a while. Because they didn't have time to take care of me, they entrusted me to a private trusteeship teacher. Is this kind of trusteeship legal? Chen Zhao asked, confused. Of course it's legal, of course. First, you have to have a teacher's certificate. Secondly, most of the courses taught by the entrusted teachers are not academic courses, but enlightenment and moral guidance. That man just now should be considered as an amateur entrusted teacher. He is a teacher himself, and he uses his holidays to take in entrusted students and bring them out to do some charity work. The fees for this are very low. A child only costs about $10 a day. Even if you put them at home, it might cost more than $10. Chen Zhao nodded, but he definitely didn't plan on finding a trusteeship teacher. Chen Zhao felt that it was very necessary for children to go to school. School wasn't just a place to teach. It was also a place for children to socialize. It wasn't that Chen Zhao couldn't afford a private tutor, but a private tutor couldn't teach children how to socialize. In the United States, there were many examples of wealthy families hiring private tutors from elementary school to high school. That child's grades were very good. He even got into a top-ranked university without going to school for a day. But after entering university, he couldn't survive and live in school. They all suffered from social phobia. They didn't know how to socialize with their families and teachers at all. In the mall, Chen Zhao and Didi saw the male teacher and the children again. Some magical herbs are deadly to them, Clive reprimanded. No, you underestimate them too much, Ampa said. They are all my students. They are not as incompetent as you think. Evelyn, take them to wash up and change clothes, Clive said helplessly. Evelyn was the oldest of Ampa's students. And the most sensible one. Of course, the other children were not young either. However, Evelyn and the other children had been brought up by the two of them. They were also very reliant on them. They would not refuse anything Ampa said. And they all knew what Ampa and Clive wanted. In fact, in the early days, Clive had tried almost everything like Ampa. It was said that a curse that would make people continuously give birth was effective. He found the curse and used it on himself and his wife. It was said that there was a country of women in Huaxia. In the country of women, there was a Zimu river. Drinking a mouthful of the river water could make people pregnant. They had also looked for it. Then there was the blessing of the Virgin Mary, followed by the mysterious rituals of the Druids. In short, they had tried all kinds of magic. But in the end, they were only disappointed again and again. In the end, Clive was the first to give up hope. But Ampa was still the same. Clive looked at the boiling green liquid in the big iron pot. Clive only felt nauseous. In the past, he had also crazily taken these magic potions. Ampa was still casting spells on the magic potion. She kept chanting the incantation of magic. The green liquid boiled even more intensely. After 10 minutes of casting, the liquid in the iron pot finally stopped boiling. Ampa took a porcelain bowl and scooped up a spoonful. Then, with an incomparably pious attitude, she poured the green liquid into her mouth. Life in the water, please grant me the miracle of life, let the vitality of nature fill my body, let me give birth to a new life for you. Although Clive did not believe it, after Ampa drank the magic potion, he still had some hope. Clive kept looking at Ampa. The other children also looked at Ampa. After waiting for 10 minutes, Clive asked, "Is there a reaction?" Ampa silently put down the porcelain bowl and shook her head. "Not yet, maybe it will take a while." Although Ampa often tried and experimented with new methods as if she was obsessed. But other times she was more normal. In the neighborhood, she looked just like an ordinary housewife. "Ampa, why don't we go out on a trip? The children haven't been out for a long time. Where do you think we should go?" "Wherever you want to go, we'll go. I'll think about it and give you an answer." Ampa was not very interested. Although she said that she might have to wait for a while. In fact, she already knew that the magic potion had no effect. Ampa was not interested in anything. It seemed that children were the only important thing in her life. Of course, people with children could not understand Ampa's desire and obsession for children. "Maybe you should open a cram school again," Clive said. Ampa used to be a teacher, and the spiritualist was just her secret identity. However, after finding out that she was infertile. As a result, Anpa completely gave up his identity as a teacher and focused on giving birth to a child. In her opinion, only by having a child herself could she be considered a real woman. She even consulted an organization that studied stem cell cultivation of eggs, but the organization said that the technology was not mature yet and would not conduct clinical trials for the time being. Even if Ampa said that she could be used as a human subject at will, it would not be a problem. Chapter 2140. On Christmas Eve, the family got together, which was rare. Because Portia was alone, Fei Lai also asked her to stay for the new year. Chen Zhao was unhappy, but it was fine as long as Fei Lai was happy. Having an outsider in the family was always awkward. The people from the supernatural organization all called or sent messages to Chen Zhao to wish him well. Chen Zhao also replied to them one by one. Just then, he received a call from Toddy Belster. But he wasn't here to send his blessings. He was here to ask for help. Boss Chen, help, Toddy Belster cried in a hoarse voice. His tone was filled with fear and helplessness. What's wrong? Exposed. Chen Zhao replied as he waved at the children. No, they're going to a place called Black Health tonight. They said they're going to kill Evil Lord there. Of course, Toddy was referring to the psionic team. A few days ago, under Wistana's sincere invitation, Toddy Belster joined the psionic team with some reluctance. At the same time, he became the vice leader of the team. Surprisingly, everyone in the psionic ability team actually approved of his position. No one thought that it was unreasonable for a newcomer to have such a high position. Instead, they thought that it was natural for Toddy to become the vice leader. This mainly had to do with Westana, Yanghua, and Britz's promotion of Toddy's achievements in the past few days. He'd entered LA's 7th prison alone and actually walked out alive. This was already something that was close to impossible. Moreover, he'd permanently solved the long-standing problem of the 7th prison. No matter how one looked at it, Toddy was someone they couldn't afford to offend. Thus, in the headquarters of the psionic team, anyone who saw Toddy on the road would respectfully call him Master. For the first 2 days, Toddy was a bit smug. He felt that as long as he hid well, they wouldn't find him. Moreover, the benefits provided by the psionic team weren't something he could compare to as a con artist. Did he need to buy any magic materials? Oh, would 1 million be enough? Did he need to buy any magic tools? Oh, would 2 million be enough? The psionic team seemed to have an endless supply of money. And they would give him whatever he wanted. They gave Toddy Belster as much as he wanted. But as he held it, Toddy Belster suddenly sobered up, not knowing if his brain had a cramp. This money was poisonous. The more he took, the more he would die in the future. This was not the same as the deceived people in the past who he could take whatever he wanted. Most of these people were superhumans who could evaporate others. Then, he began to panic and fear, and the thing that he was most worried about finally happened. It was tonight. It was Christmas Eve. Black Hell. What kind of place is that? Just from the sound of it, it didn't sound like a decent place. It felt like he was going to die. More importantly, Westana had only arranged for one person to follow Toddy Belster. If there were too many people, it would be a burden to Master Toddy Belster. He only wanted an errand boy to follow him. Furthermore, he had repeatedly warned him not to interfere with a master's battle. If you see an enemy, try to keep your distance from Toddy Belster. For a moment, Toddy Belster almost thought she had been exposed. Were they trying to make him disappear from the face of the earth? The more Toddy Belster thought about it, the more afraid she became. Do I have to confess? Then ask them for forgiveness. Forget it, no matter how I look at them, they don't look like law-abiding good citizens. This follower who was supposed to be his guide was probably someone they had arranged to keep an eye on him. If he tried to escape, he would immediately kill him. After thinking about it, Toddy Belster still decided to ask Chen Zhao for help. Using the excuse of going to the washroom, Toddy Belster asked Chen Zhao for help. Isn't your psionic team working a little too hard? It's Christmas Eve. Shouldn't you be celebrating the New Year properly on Christmas Eve? Do you really have to come out and make trouble? Boss Chen, I admire the supernatural organization. I hate this psionic team. I won't work with them, let alone our psionic team. Although Toddy Belster had been trying to get away, these few days, he had not. He had probably figured out the relationship between the supernatural organization and the psionic team. To put it bluntly, the supernatural organization was the orthodox organization, and the psionic ability team was their trusted follower. The psionic ability team wanted to replace the supernatural organization, but they were afraid of Qin Zhao's power. Therefore, he had always been in an awkward position, thinking of Qin Zhao's inhuman or even supernatural power. Toddy Belster felt that he still had a higher chance of winning by following Qin Zhao. Of course, if Qin Zhao failed, he could still switch sides. I heard that Black Hell only opens once a year, which is tonight. Qin Zhao cursed. What kind of bastard set the time? But he had to admit that the owner of Black Hell was really smart. At this time, even spiritualists would probably be busy celebrating the holidays. No one had the time to care about Black Hell. Forget it. Who asked Toddy Belster to be the one who arranged it? He couldn't just watch him go to his death. Qin Zhao thought helplessly. Just then, Didi ran to Qin Zhao's side. "Uncle, come and eat." "Okay, I'm coming." Qin Zhao sat down at the table and continued his call. "Where are you?" "I'm hiding in the washroom." "No, I mean your destination." "I think it's near Death Valley," Toddy Belster said. "We're at a gas station on the highway." Death Valley National Park was a famous scenic spot. It was in California, a few hundred kilometers away from Los Angeles. "How long until we get to Death Valley?" "About 3 hours." "Okay, send me your coordinates when we get there." "Got it." Toddy Belster was still worried. After all, Qin Zhao hadn't appeared before him yet. Who knew if he would kill him along the way? Knock, knock, knock. "Master Belster, are you done? You've been inside for 15 minutes. We're in a bit of a rush. We need to get to the entrance of Black Hell before 1 in the morning after Christmas Eve." Okay, Toddy Belster said impatiently. "I'm coming out now." The attendant could hear the dissatisfaction in Toddy's tone. Seeing him walk out of the washroom with a dark expression, he couldn't help but show some respect. "Master Toddy, I'm sorry. We really need to hurry. We didn't mean to rush you." Chapter 2141. Fuck, this is a foreigner's New Year's Eve dinner. Can't they stop for a while? Looking for trouble in the middle of the night. That's enough. Thankfully, the kids had already gone to bed. After saying goodbye to Fei Lai, Qin Zhao left unhurriedly. After all, it was Christmas Eve. Qin Zhao really didn't have the mood to go out. So, he dragged his feet when he went out. "West, what's Black Hell? Have you heard of it?" Qin Zhao called West. "Yeah. It only appeared a few years ago. Apparently, it's the lair of Satanism. Those cultists again. Don't you think there's something wrong with their brains? There's really a lot of people with brains. According to a research organization, there are about 5 million people in America who have bad beliefs. Close to 1 million people believe in cults. Among them, there might be 800,000 fanatics. So you're saying that the people in Black Hell aren't demons or ghosts, but a bunch of people with brains?" Qin Zhao asked. "I don't know the specifics, but it seems to be completely locked down. Some supernatural organization sent people there and then there's no news of them. So troublesome." Qin Zhao had a headache. "President, it seems like you're going to find trouble with Black Hell. Didn't I just arrange for that Toddy Belster to go undercover? Now that he has received this mission, if I don't care about him, he probably won't be able to come back. No matter what, he is someone I arranged. I can't just watch him die. Do you want us to do it for you?" Forget it. You can celebrate the new year in peace. To foreigners, it was the biggest holiday of the year. Chen Zhao wasn't that important. After all, he was a Chinese. The Spring Festival was the biggest holiday for Chinese. However, it was important to spend time with family. This was why Chen Zhao was unhappy. Chen Zhao sped on the road in his sports car. Fine, racing was illegal and dangerous to the public. However, Chen Zhao had an even more violent method. He could just fly. But Chen Zhao wanted to stall for time. There was no one on the streets. There were no cars either. After all, it was Christmas Eve. Chen Zhao drove as fast as he could. With Chen Zhao's reaction speed and Little World's ability to predict the road ahead, therefore, there was no possibility of a car suddenly appearing out of nowhere and causing the car to crash and people to die. However, when he drove out of the city, he saw someone walking on the side of the road. And it was someone he knew. To be precise, he had met her once. After a series of roars, the sports car stopped by the roadside. "Hi, Miss Lindsay." Lindsay Beyonce was not happy at the moment. When he saw Chen Zhao, his expression became even more displeased. After all, he had promised to teach Chen Zhao and West a lesson last time. In the end, he was one-sidedly abused by West. "Fuck off, or I'll beat you up," Lindsay Beyonce said unhappily. Chen Zhao looked at the unhappy Lindsay Beyonce, but he didn't seem to care at all. "Is there something you're unhappy about? Tell me and make me happy. Are you really looking for a beating? Where are you going? Can I give you a ride? You want to fuck me?" Chen Zhao's face darkened. "Even if I want to fuck you, now is not the time. This young master still has business to attend to." However, Chen Zhao clearly wasn't in a hurry for business. Chen Zhao studied Lindsay Beyonce from head to toe. Her figure and face were worlds apart from Feilai. She didn't even know how to dress up. Plus, she was dirty after fooling around. She looked like a tramp. "I want to fuck you. What gave you the confidence?" Sensing Chen Zhao's malicious and disdainful gaze, Lindsay Beyonce was even more displeased. She'd already offended him once. She didn't mind doing it again. "Leave the car. I'll drive it for a few days and return it to you." With that, Lindsay Beyonce reached out to grab Chen Zhao, wanting to throw him down. But before Lindsay Beyonce could translate, she felt the world spin and was thrown to the side of the road. Lindsay Beyonce was dazed. She sat on the ground, clutching her head. It took her a while to recover. "You're a spiritualist too. West, who beat you up that day, is my subordinate. Why do you think I'm not?" Chen Zhao asked, amused. Lindsay Beyonce only wanted to find a hole to hide in now. This was too shameful, too shameful. She thought that Chen Zhao was rich and that West had been recruited because of his money. But things were different from what she'd imagined. "It's so late and you're still wandering on the road. It's Christmas Eve, right? It's none of your business." Lindsay Beyonce stood up and patted the dust off her body. She didn't want to waste time with Chen Zhao anymore. The exchange just now had made her realize that she definitely couldn't beat Chen Zhao. "Did your uncle kick you out?" Chen Zhao asked. Lindsay Beyonce paused. "I left on my own. It's none of his business. Tell me, what's going on?" Chen Zhao's car followed Lindsay Beyonce slowly. "Don't follow me. You're annoying," Lindsay Beyonce said. She was about to leave the road and walk toward the wasteland. But her legs seemed to be stuck in a swamp. She couldn't walk out no matter what. "What happened? Damn it. Put away your disgusting spell. If you don't tell me, you can't go anywhere." Lindsay Beyonce wanted to continue resisting, but she still couldn't move. A black liquid flowed under her feet. It was extremely sticky. Fine, I ran away from home, Beyoncé said dejectedly. You're an adult. Are you going to live on the streets after running away from home? I have a plan. What plan? Tell me. I received an invitation from a supernatural organization. Invitation? Probably a psionic team. Did you join? No. When they sent me the invitation, they talked a lot about how they needed me to join them. But when I arrived, some bastard said that not everyone could join them and that I had to go through a test. After the test, he said that I was too weak to join them. Don't you think they were messing with me? What's your plan now? Plan? Beyoncé was very conflicted. Go back and apologize to her uncle. How old was he? This was too shameful. But if she didn't go back, would she just live on the streets? It was Christmas Eve. Did she have to be so miserable? I have high hopes for you. How about joining our organization? Chapter 2142. Beyoncé looked at Chen Zhao in disdain. In her opinion, someone as proactive as Chen Zhao probably came from a low-class organization. Especially after going to the psionic team's headquarters, the futuristic headquarters gave people the feeling that it was rich and powerful. Looking at Chen Zhao, it didn't look like a powerful organization at all. But considering her current situation, she had to accept Chen Zhao's invitation. Or she had to live on the streets. She had to either accept Chen Zhao's invitation or live on the streets. Even if she didn't think about the future, she had to at least take care of her own food and clothing. After thinking for a while, Lindsay said hesitantly, "My price isn't low." Oh. What price? Chen Zhao thought about it. If Beyoncé asked for too much, he would reject her directly. If it was more than $1 million, she would have to go back to where she came from. Lindsay wasn't worth that much money. To be honest, her abilities were indeed average. Chen Zhao had invited her because of her outstanding performance in the fight with West last time. Therefore, even if he offered some money now, it would be an investment for Lindsay's future, not her current self. And if Beyoncé wanted to reach the level of Jolanash and Hallie's, the supernatural organization would need to invest a lot of money. Therefore, Beyoncé did not have much value. She had the possibility of a future, but that also meant that she might become an average person. $10,000. I mean my salary. If it's less than that, don't think I'll work for you. Lindsay stared at Chen Zhao. Seeing Chen Zhao's shocked expression, her heart skipped a beat. Did she ask too much? Damn it. If she knew, she wouldn't have asked so much. Of course, if you're sincere, we can discuss further, Beyoncé added before Chen Zhao could reply. Do you know the average salary of our members? How much? $60,000. Even a guard can get $30,000 a month. Beyoncé almost spat. So Chen Zhao's expression wasn't because he'd asked for a high price. It was because she'd asked too little. Beyoncé wanted to cry. Don't tell me he's only paying me $10,000 a month. If that was the case, should he accept it or not? I'm so conflicted. If I have this salary, Uncle's pressure will be much less. Probation period is 3 months. If you have the ability to become an official member, the salary will start at $40,000. What do you think? How do I make it official? In 3 months, when your strength is sufficient, you can become an official member. Sure. Get in. You won't lie to me, right? Then you tricked me into your car, took me somewhere, and assaulted me. Chen Zhao's face darkened. Beyoncé was swept up by the dark lava and stuffed into the trunk. 10 minutes later, he arrived outside the headquarters. He then opened the trunk. Lind Beyonce jumped out of the trunk. He raised his fist and punched Qin Zhao's face. But Qin Zhao reached out and grabbed it. "What do you want to do to me?" Just then, everyone in the headquarters heard the noise and ran out. When they saw Lind Beyonce, they all looked at her with great interest. After all, there weren't many people who dared to treat Qin Zhao like this nowadays. More than half of the tombstones were 1 meter tall now. "West, I'll leave it to you. I'm in a hurry." Qin Zhao pushed Lind Beyonce away and got into the car. "Don't go." Lind Beyonce jumped up, trying to jump onto Qin Zhao's car. "Come here." Suddenly, a huge force pulled Lind Beyonce in the air and she fell heavily onto the ground. Lind Beyonce jumped up immediately. "Which one of you attacked me?" There were many people at the door, so she couldn't tell who had attacked her. "Which one of us looks like we've fought before?" West smiled at Lind Beyonce. "I don't care who did it." "You're not good people," Lind Beyonce yelled angrily. "What did you say? Can you say it again?" Suddenly, Lind Beyonce felt a cold sensation on her neck. A knife was pressed against her neck. Dongye Tianxi had appeared behind her without her knowing. Lind Beyonce broke out in a cold sweat. "What are you doing? Are you going to kill me?" "You're a newbie, but it's not good for a newbie to offend all the seniors." West smiled at Lind Beyonce. "What do you want?" Lind Beyonce also woke up. "Don't make it difficult for her. Let her play in the Tower of Trials," Gaia said indifferently. "I don't want to waste my Christmas Eve on a woman who doesn't know when to stop." "That's a good idea." Toddy Belster sat in the car, pretending to be calm. "Robert, how long until we reach Black Hell?" "Master Toddy, we're at the end of the road," Robert said. "We need to walk for about 10 kilometers. Did West Anna give you any special orders before we left?" Toddy Belster tried to control his fear and asked calmly. Robert looked at Toddy in surprise. "Master Toddy, I don't know what you mean." Toddy Belster didn't look like he was lying. Plus, this place was secluded enough. If he really had received orders, he could do it here. There was no need to hide anymore. "Never mind, it's nothing." "Master Toddy, is there something I didn't do?" "No, it's nothing. It's better if you don't know some things." Robert was still confused. It was better if he didn't know some things. Could it be that there was more to this operation? "Master Toddy, is this operation very dangerous?" Toddy Belster closed his eyes. After a long silence, he nodded heavily. "Very dangerous. What kind of place is Black Hell?" "You should know better than me." "I know. I've read all the information. Normally, even an army might not be able to eliminate it, but now the headquarters only sent the 2 of us." "You mean, the headquarters wants us to die?" "It's not us, it's you. It's just you." "Huh? Don't you understand? I'm the backbone of the psionic team. No matter how stupid the higher-ups are, they can't lose their most powerful force. Do you understand me? But you're different. You're the weakest in the overstaffed psionic team. The psionic team doesn't need you, but the higher-ups can't say it out loud, nor can they dissuade you for no reason. So, the best way is for you to die in battle." Chapter 2143. To put it simply, you're just cannon fodder. You'll have to be compensated with money to leave. Most importantly, you've come into contact with some of the team's secrets. It's not much, but it's still risky. But if you die here, you won't have to pay anything. The more Robert listened, the angrier he got. Why? I'm loyal to the team. How can they do this to me? I'm going to reason with them. Reason? Who are you going to reason with? Do you think they'll give you a chance? Since they don't want me, I'll leave. Come back here, Toddy Belster yelled. If you leave now, they'll have even more reason to label you as a traitor and then kill you. Toddy Belster scolded. Then, what should I do? Robert was a newbie and not very strong. Plus, he was straightforward and not quick-witted. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been Toddy's assistant. He was more like a follower than an assistant. You lack someone to protect you, someone who can protect you, Toddy Belster said. But who's willing to protect me? There's plenty of people like me in the headquarters. After 3 rounds of recruitment, there were more than 120 people in the team. Robert didn't stand out in any way. He was almost invisible. No one cared about him or paid attention to him. You can be my assistant from now on, Toddy said generously. If Wistana and the others give you trouble, I'll take care of it for you. Really? You'll protect me? Of course. Toddy put an arm around Robert's shoulder. But I hope you can listen. Of course, Master Toddy. I'll listen to you. I'll do whatever you tell me to. Toddy Belster smiled in satisfaction. They hadn't interacted much, but Toddy could still feel Robert's straightforwardness. How much farther? We need about 20 minutes, Robert answered. 20 minutes. Toddy was a bit worried. Could Qin Zhao make it in 20 minutes? They still hadn't arrived after 20 minutes because Toddy was stalling. However, no matter how much he delayed, it was impossible to delay the 20-minute journey for too long. Not long after, they arrived in front of a barren valley. Master Toddy, the crack in front is the entrance to the Black Hell. There was not a single plant in or around the valley. Everything around them was barren, and the air was still filled with the strong smell of sulfur. Toddy Belster had been secretly sending his location to Qin Zhao. Master Toddy, let's go. Us? What are you going to do? Seeking death. What is that place? That's the Black Hell. If you go in, I won't be able to take care of you. Your strength is useless here, so you just wait for me here. Leave the rest to me. Toddy Belster said seriously. But, Master Toddy, it's too dangerous for you to go in alone. It'll be even more dangerous if you go in with me. I'm confident that I can protect myself, but if you come with me, I'll have to divert my attention to protect you. Don't say that you don't need my protection. That's just putting on a brave front. I only hope that one day, you'll be able to protect me, not like this. Master Toddy, I'm sorry for making you suffer. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Toddy seemed magnanimous. Toddy Belster walked to the crack alone. He looked at the bottomless crack before him. It was hard for him to stop now. The crack before him was already too much for him. Toddy took out his phone and secretly sent Qin Zhao a message. Boss Qin, where are you? I'm above you, Qin Zhao replied. Make a pose to release a spell, and I'll send you in. Toddy Belster looked up at the sky. The night sky was hazy. He couldn't see anything at all. Robert looked at Toddy Belster in confusion. Is Master Toddy going to give up? Just then, Toddy Belster raised her arms high. Oh. So you're going to release a spell. Just then, a beam of white light descended from the sky and poured into the crack. Robert sucked in a breath of cold air. The originally irregular crack had turned into a circular pit. And Toddy Belster had disappeared. What spell is that? It's so powerful. Robert stared at the circular hole in shock. When would he be able to reach that level? Was this Master Toddy's true power? No, this might not be Master Toddy's true strength. Ah, Toddy Belster kept falling. In the end, he landed on a ball of black substance. It was very soft and had a faint red color. Chen Zhao lifted Toddy Belster up. If you're not dead, stand up and walk, Chen Zhao said. I'm fine, I'm fine. Toddy stood up immediately. Toddy Belster quickly stood up. Just then, he saw two shadows sneaking up on Chen Zhao's back. Watch out. Ah, by the time Toddy Belster gave the warning, the two shadows had already been swallowed by the dark magma. Toddy shut his mouth, embarrassed. If he could see it, how could Chen Zhao not notice such a crude sneak attack? Let's walk around. Toddy wasn't as relaxed as Chen Zhao. He saw the dark lava under Chen Zhao's feet flowing outwards. Then, a series of screams came from the front. If he heard it alone, he would definitely have nightmares. Coupled with the gloomy environment, it was like a horror movie. But no matter how scary the people here were, they weren't as scary as the person beside him. In Toddy Belster's eyes, Chen Zhao was the real Demon King. Boss Chen, is there something you're unhappy about? It's Christmas Eve, Chen Zhao said with a dark expression. Ha! I don't care what problem you have next time. Don't call me on holidays, okay? Seeing Chen Zhao's cold expression, Toddy Belster was startled by the two tragic cries in front of her. Got it. Mobile version of the fastest.d website, M. Chapter 2144. The dark lava seeped into every room and corner. No matter where the cultists hiding here hid, they would only be swallowed by the dark lava. It wasn't Toddy Belster's first time seeing Chen Zhao in action. But every time, he felt chills down his spine. It was completely different from the people in the psionic team. Although Toddy Belster was a fake, he'd still seen some spiritualists fight. But he'd seen some spiritualists fight before. The psionic team had a training room too. He'd seen some spiritualists fight in the training room too. Being Chen Zhao's enemy was definitely a disaster. But for the cultists in Black Hell, it was a nightmare. Most of them didn't understand what was happening. The black and red liquid seeped into every corner. No matter how strong or weak they were, they couldn't avoid the only result. At the moment, in the deepest part of Black Hell, even the cultists couldn't enter here. A group of people were hiding here. They looked at the monitor in fear. The dark lava had already seeped into the upper 4 levels. All the cultists above the 4th level were swallowed by the dark lava without exception. The rest of the people continued to retreat. Among this group of people, there was a tall and sturdy man with a black crown on his head. He sat on a chair with his fists supporting his chin. The others surrounded him. Leader, hurry, think of something, release the devil walkers, Donim said in a low voice. The unknown liquid has already swallowed the devil walkers' prison on the 4th level. The devil walkers couldn't do anything before they were all wiped out. Hearing his subordinate's reply, Donim's expression darkened. Damn it, what is that? Sect Master, I once read a devil book. It said that one of the 7 great devil kings of hell, the king of wrath, Samuel, has a thing called the dark essence. Whether it's its attributes or characteristics, it's very similar to this thing. The liquid looks red. Are you sure it's the same thing? The dark serum confuse with other attributes and have colors of other attributes, so color doesn't mean anything. The characteristics of the liquid are very similar to the dark serum described in the demon book. Are you saying that Samuel, the Lord of Wrath, is going to punish us? Maybe he's angry because we worship His Majesty Satan and not His Majesty Samuel. A follower said cautiously. After all, he wasn't sure what was going on. Therefore, most people could only speculate and were unable to come to a conclusion. At this moment, dark magma began to appear on the 5th floor. When everyone saw this scene, they couldn't help but be shocked and worried appeared on their faces. The dark magma seemed to have a mind of its own. It knew how to infiltrate the enclosed space. He even knew how to open some locks. That was terrifying. If it was just a liquid, then many of the doors here were sealed metal doors. Even if a nuclear bomb exploded outside, it might not be able to affect the people inside. But what the cultists faced here was not an explosion. Instead, it was liquid, a liquid that permeated every pore. In fact, these liquids even possessed offensive properties. The dark magma could change its form, temporarily turning into a blade or a saw that could cut through incomparably hard metals. Moreover, after the dark magma occupied the 1st floor, it first destroyed the surveillance equipment. Let those hiding behind the surveillance cameras become blind. No one knew what exactly was going on. They also didn't know how to solve this situation. These cultists, who were used to spreading terror and despair to others, were now swallowed by terror and despair. Many of them were praying, hoping that God would save them. Of course, God wouldn't come to save them. Boom! Just then, on the screen, the isolation between the 5th and 6th floors suddenly collapsed. Large amounts of dark magma poured down. Everyone's face turned pale with fright. Chen Zhao and Toddy Belster were still strolling around. It was as if what was happening here had nothing to do with them. Chen Zhao's domain covered the entire black hell. There really weren't any enemies in this black hell worth facing. A large number of lizard monsters were summoned from hell and then attached themselves to human bodies and smashed to pieces. There wasn't a single slightly stronger monster. Chen Zhao wasn't interested in meeting the cultists, nor was he interested in listening to their begging or threats. He'd better end the battle quickly and cut through the Gordian knot. He'd wipe out all the cultists here. Chen Zhao strolled to the collection room of the cultists. He had to admit that these nerds really had a lot of collections. Chen Zhao found a lot of magic materials here. There were also some magic tools. But they'd all been swept away by Chen Zhao now. Toddy Belster watched as Chen Zhao opened a safe. The 10-centimeter thick door was deformed by Chen Zhao's pull. Then Toddy Belster saw a sea of gold inside. There were also neatly arranged bundles of cash. Chen Zhao took a bundle of cash and tossed it to Toddy. Then he put away all the gold and cash himself. Toddy Belster silently picked up the money and didn't say anything. It was already good enough that he got the money. He didn't expect to get more. Of course, the main reason was that he didn't have the courage to ask Chen Zhao for more money. After all, he hadn't done anything. Getting it was a profit. Even if Chen Zhao didn't give him anything, he wouldn't lose anything. "Let's go downstairs and see," Chen Zhao said greedily. There should be more collections. After all, he'd given up his family time to come out. If this was all he got, he wouldn't be able to live up to himself. Putting aside the magic materials and tools, there were only less than $100 million in cash and gold. There were also some collections that looked like art. Chen Zhao couldn't value them, so he planned to find someone to do it for him when he got back. Chen Zhao believed that in such a large cult base, there were definitely more things than he'd found. Chen Zhao believed that there were definitely more things in such a large cult base than what he'd found. By now, the dark lava had seeped into the 8th floor. At this moment, the dark lava had already seeped into the 8th layer. Chen Zhao pierced through all 18 floors of black hell. Without the protection of the barrier, the lava seeped even faster. Without the protection of the barrier, the lava seeped even faster. Chapter 2145. The 10th floor, the 11th floor, the 12th floor, the dark magma continued to seep downwards. Donim couldn't continue to sit in his seat. He finally stood up. "I've decided to use the forbidden summoning." Everyone turned to look at Donim. There was a difference, but there was also a hint of confusion. "We should have done that long ago," someone agreed. "But sect leader, the forbidden summoning is too dangerous." Dangerous? At a time like this, do you think we can still care about something as dangerous as this? The eyes of the other higher-ups also flashed. As evil cultists, they didn't care about how much damage a forbidden spell could cause. Unless this forbidden spell posed a threat to them. The forbidden summoning they were discussing was this spell. Summoning demons was very common among evil cultists. But not just any demon could be summoned. Some demons couldn't be controlled even if they were summoned. What they were discussing now was how to summon an uncontrollable demon. This demon was called Audipolo, a famous demon in Southeast Asia, especially in India. India was a country of diverse religions and beliefs. The mythology of their country was very complicated. Some regions even worshipped demons as gods. Audipolo was very popular in the less developed regions of northern India, as well as among the lower-class families. India had a caste system, divided into 4 classes: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vedas, and Sudras. Brahmins were the noblest caste, while Sudras were naturally the lowest. But there was a rumor that there was another surname below Sudras. Audipolo. This was a demon's name, but it was also a surname. A demon's surname. Anyone with this surname was called a demon's child. Moreover, this surname was not innate, but acquired later on. First, it had to be soaked in the dirtiest liquid for 3 days and nights. Then, it had to personally kill its blood relatives to prove that it had severed its bloodline. Finally, it had to kill a cow. In Hinduism, cows were the mounts of Shiva, as well as the emissaries of God. Thus, killing the cow symbolized killing one's own faith. Only then would it be acknowledged by Audipolo and granted with the demon's blood. The method to summon Audipolo was actually something the cultists had obtained by accident when they were passing through India. They had tried it once before, and the consequences of that attempt were very serious. What they had summoned was not a god at all, nor was it a rational demon. What they had summoned was a monster. A monster who only knew destruction. Only a few of the followers who were present at that time were lucky enough to escape. Most of the followers were killed by the monster's frenzied rampage. This was also the reason why everyone was hesitant. Right now, they were indeed anxious to get away. However, if they summoned the monster, they might be killed by the monster before they could be killed by the liquid that seeped in. "I recently found a spell that can take over the bodies of certain creatures," said Donim. Everyone looked at Donim in surprise. "Sect leader, can your magic really control that monster?" "You'll know once you try." Donim's spell was actually prepared for Audipolo. However, every time he tried to summon Audipolo again, he would be met with strong opposition. Moreover, summoning Audipolo wasn't something he could do alone. That was something that could only be achieved by paying a huge price. To him, this crisis was actually an opportunity. This time, he could finally summon Audipolo legitimately. "Alright, we don't have any other choice. That's the only way." The higher-ups of the cult came to a wide, empty room. This was where they would conduct magic experiments or summon spells. The higher-ups gathered all the cultists hiding at the bottom of the 18th floor and had them prepare a magic array. Then, they moved large amounts of resources and magic materials. When everything was ready, the higher-ups started the magic summoning. The cultists who were maintaining the magic array outside. They didn't know that they were actually sacrifices too. Ha! Chen Zhao's heart suddenly jumped. He felt a strong magical wave in the lower levels. Beside Chen Zhao, Toddy Belster also felt it. However, they felt completely different. Toddy Belster first felt an inexplicable chill. Then, all her hair stood on end. Boss Chen, did something appear? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. These cultists summoned a disgusting monster, but it's eating them now. Do you want to see? Forget it. Boss Chen, how about we leave? This monster isn't part of our plan anyway. I'm not done yet, Chen Zhao said unhurriedly. There were many magic materials and valuable collections on each floor of the Black Hell. The lower they went, the more valuable they were. They'd already gone through 7 or 8 floors. Chen Zhao estimated. He'd collected more than $300 million worth of collections. As for magic materials and magic tools, there were countless of them. One had to admit that the cult headquarters wasn't very powerful, but it was very rich. Before completely plundering this place, Chen Zhao couldn't bear to leave. Even though Chen Zhao's net worth was already over $10 billion, this place was like a treasure mountain. Large amounts of wealth were up for Chen Zhao to pick and take. No one fought with him for it. How could Chen Zhao bear to leave when there was such a good thing? However, Chen Zhao still observed the situation below silently. You guys control it. Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute and I can go to its body. While dodging the monster's attacks, Donim yelled, Go up. Don't hide. The scene was chaotic. The monster was attacking the cultists without restraint. There were many cultists, but most of them weren't united. The few who were willing to help weren't strong enough. They couldn't control the rampaging monster at all. Sinker, use your magic to calm it down. Lista, use magic chains to restrain it. Donim didn't go up himself. Instead, he ordered his subordinates to make all sorts of tactical arrangements. Fortunately, among his trusted subordinates, there were a few who were quite strong. Under his arrangements, the situation was barely under control. Seeing that the monster was under control, the others calmed down and helped. Hold on. I only need 1 minute. Donim was delighted. He was one step closer to the success of his plan. Chapter 2146. Donim landed on top of the summoned monster's head. Surrender. Donim placed his palms on the monster's forehead. The monster seemed to have sensed danger and frantically shook its head. It wanted to throw Donim off its head. However, Donim's limbs were firmly locked on the monster's head like a plate. Surrender. Donim's consciousness seeped into the monster's brain. At the same time, the monster's chaotic thoughts were also attacking his consciousness. The two were like two players in a tug-of-war. If Donim could not resist the monster's chaotic thoughts, then Donim would lose his sense of self and become a creature with chaotic thoughts like the monster. If he could resist the monster's chaotic thoughts, he could brand his soul imprint on the monster's soul. The risk was great, but the rewards were equally great. If he succeeded, he would control everything about the monster. Suddenly, an image appeared in front of Donim's eyes. This monster was once a human. Donim saw the life of this monster and how he became what he was now. Donim's spirit was lifted. He almost fell into the trap. Fortunately. Although he felt his hair stand on end from what he saw just now. At the same time, he learned a lot from the image. He did not understand why he saw the monster's past. Perhaps it was a characteristic of the spell he was currently casting. Imprint. Donim did not dare to delay any longer. He immediately branded the imprint on the monster's soul. In an instant, the monster's struggle stopped. Donim let out a long sigh. Whoosh, leader, how is it? Donim looked at everyone with a smile on his face. It's my pet now. Donim jumped down from the monster's head and tilted his head slightly to look at the monster. It's not the so-called Audipolo. It's actually a Dipolo's son. Can it solve our current crisis? This. Donim's expression changed. Of course it can. All the cultists could not help but look expectant. Just then, a terrified cry came from outside. Everyone's expression changed. It's here. The dark liquid had already invaded this floor. At this moment, the dark lava had already spread to the door. However, the dark lava did not continue surging inside. All the cultists became even more nervous. Everyone stared at the door. At this moment, two strangers entered the room. Everyone's pupils suddenly contracted. Ha! There's a bunch of mice hiding here. Chen Zhao strolled in. Toddy Belster gave Chen Zhao a meaningful look. He didn't know how Chen Zhao had done it, or if Chen Zhao had used some kind of spell. But he was sure that Chen Zhao already knew that someone was hiding here. Chen Zhao even knew it when he was in the upper echelons. When Chen Zhao came to this place, he didn't make any turns or feel around. It was as if he knew the way, turning left and right to get here. Seeing Chen Zhao and Toddy Belster, Donim's expression changed. As expected, what happened in the Black Hell wasn't the punishment of the Wrath King. It was man-made. Who are you people? Donim asked in a low voice. Robbers, hand over your valuables, Chen Zhao said with a smile. Give me all your valuables. The corner of Donim's eyes twitched and he coldly said, Go get rid of them. He did not know how powerful Chen Zhao and Toddy Belster were, so he did not dare to act rashly. Letting his subordinates test the waters was the best choice. There were many impulsive and fanatical believers among his trusted followers. After receiving his order, a dozen of them charged at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao glanced at the dozen or so cultists charging at him. The dark lava behind him suddenly surged in. Like sharp spikes, it pierced through the cultists and dragged their corpses into the dark lava. As expected, the black and red liquid was controlled by this man. Who are you? Why are you attacking us? Because I need money. Chen Zhao glanced at everyone casually. This wasn't the first time Chen Zhao had faced cultists. Thus, he was familiar with their expressions. Donim obviously did not believe Chen Zhao. He stared at Chen Zhao coldly. If you think we're easy to bully, you better give up. If you leave now, I'll pretend that nothing happened. What if I don't leave? Die. The moment Donim said this, Adipolo's son suddenly moved and punched at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao retreated a few steps and Adipolo's son's fist smashed into the ground. The ground instantly exploded, leaving a ghastly crater. You better be careful. Adipolo is the symbol of the destroyer in Hinduism. Even though this is only Adipolo's son, it has the power to destroy everything. Power to destroy everything. Chen Zhao easily dodged Adipolo's son's attack. As he dodged, he replied, This power is far from enough to destroy everything. Really? Donim was clearly very confident in Adipolo's son. Let this ignorant person see your true power. Roar! Adipolo's son raised his head and roared, releasing a terrifying destructive power. Chen Zhao raised his eyebrows and the dark lava immediately blocked in front of him. The destructive power split the dark lava and charged at Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao immediately raised his arm. Mouth of gluttony, devour. The destructive power was directly absorbed by Chen Zhao. This was truly a dangerous power. It was different from magic or immortal power. This was a chaotic power. If it was strong enough, it could even hurt Chen Zhao himself. Even the dark lava couldn't resist this power. It's indeed very strong. I take back what I said earlier, Chen Zhao said calmly. However, there was still an obvious difference between Adipolo's son and Qin Zhao's power. Continue, kill him. Donim roared. Adipolo's son attacked again, but no matter how much destructive power it released, it was all devoured by Qin Zhao. After devouring the destructive power, Qin Zhao didn't release it directly. Instead, he kept it. Qin Zhao wanted to study this power. He had to admit that this was one of the few powers that Qin Zhao was interested in. Adipolo's son didn't have unlimited power. After releasing it 3 times, it clearly showed signs of fatigue. On the other hand, Qin Zhao was like a bottomless pit. No matter how many times he absorbed, he didn't seem to have any difficulty. Your pet looks tired. Do you need a break? Chapter 2147. Donim's face alternated between green and red. He and his subordinates all thought that Adipolo's son was powerful enough. But their understanding of power was clearly different from Qin Zhao's. The son of Adipolo lowered his arms and panted heavily. Kill, don't stop. Kill them. Hurry up. Donim roared. The son of Adi Brahma roared angrily. He stood up in anger and threw himself at Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao looked at the charging Adipolo's son. He'd already collected enough destructive power. He didn't need more. Adipolo's son swung his fist at Qin Zhao. Donim and the rest stood at the back, the body of Adipolo's son blocking their line of sight. They couldn't see Qin Zhao's movements clearly. But the next moment, half of Adipolo's son's body suddenly exploded. Flesh splattered backward and then half of his body fell backward. Toddy Belster looked at Qin Zhao meaningfully. He knew how terrifying Qin Zhao was. To him, this journey was just a replay of Qin Zhao's terror. Qin Zhao glanced at the cultists before him calmly. With a light wave of his arm, the dark lava behind him surged into the door like a flash flood. Ah, help, I don't want to die. Qin Zhao's dark lava swept over the cultists. He allowed them to sink and rise in the dark lava. But they didn't last long. They were quickly swallowed by the dark lava. Before long, their corpses were expelled from the dark lava. Qin Zhao's dark lava couldn't devour humans. Qin Zhao turned back to look at Toddy. Okay, it's over, Qin Zhao said calmly. Thank you. Boss Qin. Remember, no matter what happens next time, don't send me messages during holidays. Waiting was not an easy task. Especially when Toddy Belster entered the black hell and Robert could only wait outside. Every minute and every second was a kind of torture for him. Just then, the ground shook violently. Then he saw the edge of the circular hole in front of him collapse continuously. The surrounding ground was also constantly collapsing. It was obvious that something had happened below. This made Robert even more anxious. Looking at the scale of the collapse, it was very likely that the underground structure had undergone a destructive change. And Toddy Belster was still down there. No matter how powerful he was, he wouldn't be able to withstand such an earth-shattering situation. But just as Robert was panicking, the ground suddenly shook. Suddenly, a loud noise came from the exit. Along with the soaring flames, a terrifying impact was set off. Robert took the full brunt of the impact and was thrown to the ground. He climbed up awkwardly, only to see Toddy Belster already standing in front of him. Robert, are you okay? Toddy Belster reached out and pulled Robert up. I'm fine. Master Toady, are you alright? What's the situation down there? The cultists are all dead. The last one activated the self-destruct device in a frenzy. Toddy Belster patted the dust off her body and said lightly. When Robert looked at Toddy Belster, his eyes were filled with admiration and awe. Let's go, we should go back. Toddy Belster said flatly, as if she had done something insignificant. But the calmer he was, the more Robert respected him. Master Toddy, Wistana called me earlier and asked me about the situation. I said you went into the black hell alone. Her tone was a bit strange. Oh. What did she say? She asked why I didn't go in with you. What did Wistana mean by this? Master Toddy, how do I respond to her? No need, just answer truthfully, Toddy Belster said calmly. Yes, Master Toddy. Robert had completely surrendered to Toddy Belster. Toddy Belster was worried. Had some of his past deeds been found out and aroused their suspicion? To be honest, those things weren't confidential. If someone wanted to investigate, it wouldn't be difficult. Even his past clients could be investigated. Not to mention an organization like the Psionic Squad. This worried Toddy Belster. If they were suspicious, how would he deal with it? Robert, I'll rest in the back. Call me when we get to the headquarters. Master Toddy, are you hurt? No, I just used up some mana, Toddy Belster replied without batting an eyelid. Lying in the back seat, Toddy Belster secretly sent Chen Zhao a message. Get out and say you want to go to the hospital, Chen Zhao replied. Toddy Belster understood immediately. Robert, stop. I'm going to the bathroom. Master Toddy, do you need me to help you? I'm not crippled, Toddy Belster replied with a dark expression. After getting out, Toddy Belster walked to the roadside. Toddy Belster looked around, but it was dark and he couldn't see anything. Just then, Chen Zhao's voice came from the darkness. If you dare to take that thing out, I'll crush it. Toddy Belster shuddered. Mr. Chen, Wistana seems to be suspicious of me. What should I do? I can lend you power temporarily, but the side effects are serious. You won't be able to get out of bed for half a month. It's okay, it's okay. As long as I can deal with it, it's fine. Yang, take a look at this. This is... Yang Guo took the file and studied it carefully. After a while, Yang Guo put it down. You're saying that Master Toddy is actually a liar. I can't be sure, but from the information I found, many details show that he's a liar. But how is that possible? He solved the 7th prison incident. If he doesn't have extraordinary power, how can he solve it? I don't know. My mind is in a mess. Where did he go? I told him to solve Black Hell. Whether he's a liar or not depends on whether he can solve Black Hell. Wistana, that's too risky. If he's not a liar, you'll make him unhappy. But until now, he hasn't shown us his magic. I'm more and more doubtful that he really knows magic. Yang Guo frowned. Hearing Wistana's words, he also felt doubtful. Could it be that he had really made a mistake? Chapter 2148. When Toddy Belster returned, he looked tired. But when he and Robert arrived at the entrance, they saw Wistana, Yang Guo, and Blitz standing at the door. Obviously, they were waiting for Toddy Belster. Mr. Toddy, can we talk? Wistana had already changed the way he addressed Toddy Belster. She had always called Toddy Belster Master before, but now she called him Sir. It was obvious that her attitude toward Toddy had changed. I'm tired. Let's talk in a few days, Toddy said calmly. Robert, help me back to my room. Mr. Toddy, I don't think this can be delayed. I want to talk to you now. Are you ordering me? Toddy Belster looked at Wistana indifferently. Miss Wistana, Master Toddy just went through a big battle. You should respect him, Robert said unhappily. Toddy's expression was cold. Just then, Blitz made his move. He suddenly released a flame blast at Robert. You should respect Wistana as well. Just then, Toddy Belster moved and stood in front of Robert. The flame blast disappeared the moment it got close to Toddy. Toddy glanced at Blitz and slammed his palm in the air. Then, a huge golden palm landed on Blitz's body. Along the way, the golden palm print was directly lifted up, and everywhere it passed, there were fragments flying everywhere. Blitz, Yanghua, and Wistana's expressions changed drastically. Blitz could feel the terrifying power of the golden palm print. Yanghua hurriedly cast a spell on Blitz. 5 Elements Protection. Blitz's body flashed with 5-colored light. But the 5-colored light shattered the moment it touched the golden palm. Blitz immediately cast a defensive spell on himself. Suddenly, Toddy Belster moved and appeared in front of Blitz. The defensive spell on Blitz's body disintegrated. Toddy didn't seem to be blocked at all. The palm was already around Blitz's neck. Master Toddy, stop. Blitz felt cold all over. He followed Wistana's orders. Testing Toddy Belster. Originally, Wistana had told him that Toddy Belster was probably a liar. He believed Wistana's words. But Toddy Belster fought back fiercely. Moreover, how was this a scammer? Toddy Belster's attack left Blitz with no chance to fight back. It seems like you don't welcome me. Toddy Belster looked coldly at the 3 of them. In that case, I'll leave. Master Toddy, this is a misunderstanding. We have no ill intentions. Wistana tried to explain. How was Toddy Belster not a spiritualist? She was a powerful spiritualist that made one's hair stand on end. No malice. Robert and I went to help you with the mission and this is how you treat me. Toddy Belster said angrily. Robert also looked at the 3 of them with righteous indignation. He felt that Toddy Belster and the 2 of them were hard at work. However, he was treated unfairly by them. Especially when he thought of what Toddy Belster had said earlier. It made him wonder if it was because Toddy Belster protected him and didn't let him die in black hell. That was why Wistana, Blitz, and Yanghua were unhappy with Toddy Belster and wanted to talk to him. The more Robert thought about it, the more he felt that his guess was correct. Just then, Toddy Belster suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His face immediately became a lot more dispirited. His grip on Blitz's neck loosened. Master Toddy, you're hurt. It must be the battle before. Robert hurried to help Toddy Belster. Wistana, Blitz, and Yanghua looked at each other. Wistana's feelings were complicated. She had sworn that Toddy Belster was a liar. She had been angry and felt that she had been cheated. But reality slapped her hard in the face. Not only was Toddy Belster not an ordinary person, but he was terrifyingly powerful. If it wasn't for his injury, would he have killed Blitz? Yanghua's face was gloomy. He turned and walked away, growling at the same time, "You better not drag me into this in the future." Yanghua didn't understand why Wistana wanted to deal with Toddy Belster. Master Toddy. We have no ill intentions. We just want to talk to you. Toddy Belster clutched his chest and turned to Robert. Help me back to my room. Yes, Master Toddy. Robert looked at the 3 hatefully. Then he helped Toddy Belster leave. Toddy Belster wasn't completely defenseless now. But the blood was the essence of it. It wasn't Toddy who vomited it on purpose. It was because of the power Chen Zhao had lent him. His body couldn't handle such a powerful force. But as time passed, his body grew heavier and heavier. Miss Wistana, can you explain what's going on? I don't understand. The information I found clearly shows that he's cheated many times, and he even used the identity of a spiritualist. But reality proves that he's not a cheat. At least in this case, he's a spiritualist, and a very powerful one at that. Blitz was also annoyed. He felt like he was being used by Wistana. Do you know how important such a powerful spiritualist is to us? I know, Wistana said, annoyed. I regret it too. A spiritualist who could kill Blitz in a second. Even if Yanghua and Blitz worked together, they might still be killed by Toddy. How powerful was he? The strength that Toddy Belster displayed could be their trump card, or even their trump card. If the psionic team had a direct conflict with the supernatural organization in the future, they would at least have the confidence to fight them head-on. But now, because of his impulsiveness, they had a rift with Toddy. Yanghua sat at the side and didn't speak. Maybe there's still a chance, Yanghua finally said. You think we still have a chance? Blitz asked, surprised. Master Toddy is injured, but he didn't leave. This means that he gave us a chance. It means that his impression of the psionic team isn't that bad. Mobile version of the fastest.d website, M. Chapter 2149. Jerlin was the only one in the family who could swim in December. Chen Zhao could do it too, but even he wouldn't feel comfortable in this weather. Jerlin, on the other hand, completely ignored the temperature. The family was preparing for Christmas. Portia kept placing all kinds of food on the table. The kids were playing in the field behind the manor. Xanli had suggested to Qin Zhao to get some riding horses. But Qin Zhao rejected her. Xanli was fine, but the other kids were too young. They didn't know how to be safe and might get hurt while riding. Even some of the cows that were originally raised had been cleared out. After all, the kids in the family didn't know what fear was. Their first reaction when they saw an animal was to ride it. If it was the family pets, Chen Zhao would let them be. But in reality, the kids knew very well that some animals couldn't be ridden. Chen Zhao was considering if he should bring in some tamer animals, such as alpacas, Asian deer, and pygmy horses. In American law, these animals weren't controlled. You could raise them as long as you had some simple permits. These animals were more suitable for kids to touch. For example, the cows and horses they had raised before were more likely to harm the children at home. Merry Christmas. Stephen was the first person to call Chen Zhao today. Merry Christmas. Chen Zhao had no feelings for Christmas, but he couldn't ruin the festive atmosphere. For others, it was the most important holiday. So, Chen Zhao had to respect other people's holidays and traditions. Look at those fellows from hell, they don't have any objections to Christmas. After all, they could receive Chen Zhao's gifts on Christmas. I'm so jealous. I'm so busy now that I don't even have time to rest on Christmas, Stephen complained to Chen Zhao. You're the boss. If you want to rest, no one can stop you. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. With Stephen's current status, no one could stop him even if he wanted to rest for a month. You think I don't want to rest? The crew is in the preparation stage right now. Many things are delayed for a day and will lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. Didn't you say that this would only happen when filming starts? Why would there be losses when it's still in the preparation stage? Chen Zhao asked, confused. The rental of the equipment and venue has a time limit. It's not like I can use it whenever I want. Moreover, there was a small problem during the preparation some time ago, causing the construction to be delayed. Now, I can only rush the progress around Christmas. What problem? Do you need my help? No need. You can enjoy your Christmas in peace. He chatted with Stephen for a while. Chen Zhao wasn't sure if Stephen was busy, so he didn't continue the conversation. Just as the call ended, another call came in. Most of the calls were from close friends. They were all sending their blessings to Chen Zhao. Of course, Chen Zhao also sent his blessings to all his friends. Then there were the members of the association. It was a special Christmas for Lindsay Beyonce. She had already been thrown into the training tower by West and the rest 3 times. In less than a minute, they would be killed by the monsters in the trial tower. Finally, after the 3rd time, West didn't throw her in again. Lindsay, go take a shower and prepare for Christmas dinner. Jolanash stood outside the training tower, waiting for Lindsay Beyonce. Where do I go to take a shower? Your room, of course. Which room is mine? Forget it. I'll take you there. Lindsay Beyonce didn't have high hopes for her room. However, when Jolanash brought her to the arranged room, Lindsay Beyonce couldn't believe it. Was this luxurious room really for her? Did you take me the wrong way? This room is mine. If you don't like it, then go pick one yourself, Jolanash said indifferently. Lindsay Beyonce took a deep breath and asked, what exactly do you want to do to me? Do you have money? Or power? Jolanash looked down at Lindsay Beyonce. She raised 2 fingers and a dense fireball formed. Everyone in the association can kill you with 1 finger. Do you think you're valuable enough for us to do anything to you? Then why did you throw me into that horrible illusion? That's the only way for us, Jolanash said. Jolanash said, all of us have gone through countless trials and challenges in the Tower of Trials. But no one can survive in that place. You're only on the 1st level. If you can't even kill 100 of the weakest monsters, then you're useless to us other than being despised by us. Even Aduz, he's the gatekeeper of the headquarters. He could last 10 minutes in there. Everyone else passed the 1st level. What about you? Impossible. It's impossible for anyone to pass through that kind of hopeless situation. That only means you're weak. There's no other explanation. What Jolanash said made Lindsay Beyonce feel embarrassed. In the small circle she used to live in, she had always been feared by people. However, after being brought here by Chen Zhao, she realized that the power she had been so confident in and proud of in the past was not even worth mentioning here. It seemed that everyone here was stronger than her. What's the highest level? Apart from our president, the highest is 4, Jolanash said. Trust me. You don't even have the right to know the difficulty of the later levels. If you can do it, I can do it too. I hope the president didn't make a mistake. After all, you're the first spiritualist the president invited. Are you talking about that Asian? He's the president. Of course. Just watch. I'll surpass him one day. It's good that you have the heart. Work hard. Jolanash didn't mock Lindsay Beyonce. In the past, she'd also been working hard for this. But Chen Zhao's power had always made her feel despair. She couldn't see the limits of Chen Zhao's power at all. Chen Zhao had even done the most extreme thing, killing a god. That was something he didn't even dare to imagine. But it had really happened. Lindsay Beyonce glanced at Chen Zhao. Are you going to mock me? The chances are slim, but there's still a direction, right? He's strong, right? Yes. Jolanash nodded. Chapter 2150. When I was 5, there was a little fatty who bullied me every day. At that time, I swore that one day, I would press him to the ground and beat him up. When I was 7, I did it. Lindsay Beyonce said seriously, when I was 12, there was a girl in my class. Her father was a gang member. She was so arrogant at school. I thought that one day, I would make her lose her support. That day, I awakened my talent. That night, I destroyed the place of the girl's father. Lindsay Beyonce told many stories about her past. Jolanash listened patiently to her recollections. What are you trying to say? I've defeated so many of my opponents in the past, so I believe that the Asian is the same. I have high hopes for you. Work hard. Lindsay Beyonce thought she would hear Jolanash's mockery. But Jolanash didn't mock her at all. This dampened the pleasure of her declaration. But the calmer Jolanash was, the more she felt that she was looking down on her. I can feel that you think it's impossible. Hurry up, Jolanash said. The others are waiting for you. If you don't want to miss the Christmas dinner, I don't mind. Lindsay Beyonce took a shower and changed her clothes. She felt much more refreshed. When she arrived at the restaurant, she saw demons dancing. There were countless evil spirits here, more than all the evil spirits she had seen in her life. But everyone was immersed in the festive atmosphere. Two evil spirits were doing a talk show on a simple stage. Lindsay Beyonce was in a trance. She felt like she had walked into the wrong place. Right at that moment, two evil spirit head chefs pushed a huge, roasted creature into the room. It was impossible to tell what kind of creature this huge roasted meat was originally. But it was definitely not a normal animal. Lindsay Beyonce was distracted again. She had met other spiritualists, but she had never been in contact with the spiritual world. So, her knowledge of the spiritual world was still very shallow. She had never seen such an unnatural creature. How about a serving of flying dragon meat? You can't eat this outside. Jolanash brought a piece of barbecued meat to Beyonce. Wyvern meat. Is this it? Yeah, our guild leader raised it. Is this a real dragon? No, there's real dragon meat in the freezer, but it's too complicated to cook. You have to drain all the blood in the meat first. Humans can't drink dragon blood, and there are some complicated magic ingredients in dragon meat, so unless you're a special person, ordinary people can't eat it. Dragon. The legendary giant dragon. Does such a creature really exist? Of course, most of us have seen dragons before. We've even seen existences more terrifying than dragons. Today was an eye-opener for Lindsay Beyonce. She had never had the chance to see these things before. Apart from the roasted wyvern meat, there were also all kinds of strange food from unnatural creatures and magical food. And the wine was so good that Lindsay Beyonce couldn't stop drinking. In the beginning, Lindsay Beyonce was a bit reserved. She didn't know anyone, so she seemed lonely. But after 3 rounds of drinking, she didn't refuse anyone who came to drink with her. Even the evil spirit was no exception. When she was still drunk, she ran to the stage and sang a song while wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Finally, she had to be helped back to her room. While she was in her room, she received a call from her uncle. Uncle. I found a job. Don't worry about me. Lindsay Beyonce sobered up a lot when she answered the call. For Lindsay Beyonce, this was a new beginning for her. Whether she wanted to or not, she couldn't get away. At least, before she could make a choice, she had to stay here and obey the rules. In fact, she had already made her choice. In the past, her life had been muddled, and she was more depraved than most young Americans. But here, she felt a true sense of belonging. This sense of belonging didn't mean that she was familiar with the people here. It was because she felt that this was her world. Only here, she wasn't an anomaly. Here, ordinary people were the anomaly. After a moment of silence, her uncle said, "Then work hard. If you have time, come visit Nicole. Also, this will always be your home." "I'm sorry, uncle." Hearing her uncle's words, Lindsay Beyonce's emotions exploded. The midnight party at the headquarters was still going on. No, to be precise, it had just begun. After hanging up the phone, Lindsay Beyonce buried herself in the quilt. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Lind Beyonce guessed that it was Jolanash at the door. Opening the door, she saw that it was indeed Lind Beyonce. The party is still going on. Don't you want to go down? No, I have a headache after drinking too much. Okay. Call me if you need anything. I live across from you. When can I get my salary? Lind Beyonce asked again. Finish a mission or pass the first level and become an official member of the society. What mission? Lind Beyonce still thought that the supernatural organization was a violent organization. Not sure. I don't know when. There are fewer missions recently. The missions in L.A. and the surrounding areas have all been taken by the Psionic Team. Psionic Team. The organization that recruited me but thought that I wasn't strong enough. Yes. Who's stronger, the supernatural organization or the Psionic Team? Us, of course. The Psionic Team is child's play in front of us. Then why did they take our missions? That's complicated. To put it mildly, we're adopted. They're our biological children. Can't we kill them? Why do we have to kill them? Jolanash chuckled. Sometimes, violence can't solve problems. Just like how the president is strong, he still has to follow the law and rules. That's because he's not strong enough to ignore the law and rules. Fine. If you want to understand it that way, you can. But here, you can't disobey the president's orders. You're not strong enough to challenge his authority either. Chapter 2151. It was past Christmas. However, the streets were still immersed in the festive atmosphere. Even some shopping malls, and supermarkets hadn't opened yet. If it was in China, most shopping malls wouldn't let go of such a business opportunity. After walking around the streets, Chen Zhao realized that there was really nothing to look at. Even the largest shopping street in the city was deserted. This was completely different from China. If it was after the Spring Festival in China, the shopping malls would definitely be packed. After walking around the city, Chen Zhao finally went to Hollywood. Steven's studio was in Hollywood. Chen Zhao went to Steven's studio. Sure enough, Steven and his employees were busy working in their workrooms. The employees were all too familiar with Chen Zhao. So, no one stopped him when he came. No one went to greet him. They were all buried in their work. Hi, Steven. Chen Zhao pushed open Steven's office door. Steven was reading a document. Seeing Chen Zhao enter, he put down the document. Aren't you going to stay home with Fei Lai and the kids today? I'm afraid you'll be lonely. Chen Zhao didn't sit on a chair. He just sat on Steven's desk. When are you done? Let's go out for a drink. I'm not free. Oh, you drove here today, right? Steven asked. Yeah, what's wrong? You want to remind me not to drive after drinking? Don't worry. I'll just have your people drive my car back. No, give me the keys. I want to use your car. It's not like you don't have a car. I need to meet a client. My car is too shabby, Steven said. I drove a supercar. Does it suit your temperament? Doesn't matter. It's fine as long as it's expensive. Fine. Chen Zhao slapped the keys on the desk. You really don't want to go out for a drink? Didn't you hear? I need to meet a client later. Fine. Set a time before coming out. I don't have time right now. Fine. Chen Zhao shrugged helplessly. Chen Zhao didn't stay at Steven's place. He said goodbye and left. As soon as he went downstairs, he saw an Asian woman taking selfies in front of his car. Hey, Is this your car? The Asian woman turned to look at Chen Zhao. She sized him up and pouted, her face full of disdain. Not yours anyway. Chen Zhao was furious, but he really didn't have the car keys. From China? Chen Zhao asked. You too. How long have you been out? He looks like he's going to turn into a fake foreigner soon. Chen Zhao couldn't continue the conversation with the woman, so he turned and left. Hey, wait, are you free? The woman chased after him again. What for? The woman gave Chen Zhao a $100 bill. Be my tour guide today and this is yours. Chen Zhao looked at the money in his hand and put it away. Then, he turned around and left. Hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with you? You have no manners at all. Do you know you can't take photos here? Chen Zhao asked matter-of-factly. Don't try to lie to me. This isn't a military base. Why can't I take pictures? The woman said angrily. I didn't lie to you. Look at the sign. It says no photos. The woman's face darkened and she glared at Chen Zhao even more angrily. Do you think I don't know English? It says no parking. She didn't care about the $100. She was angry at Chen Zhao's shamelessness and his attitude of treating her like a fool. Give me back the money, or I'll call the police. There's no surveillance here. Don't say anything, or I'll sue you for slander. The woman was really stubborn, or maybe she was really angry at Chen Zhao. She took out her phone and called the police. Chen Zhao twitched his lips and turned to leave. But the woman grabbed him directly. Don't leave. Chen Zhao turned his head and looked at the woman. Let go. There's no one here. Don't force me to do anything bad to you. I'm an 8th Dan Judo. Do you think I'm scared of you? At this moment, a police car stopped. It was Chen Zhao's old acquaintance, Sharon, who got out. Who called the police? Sharon's expression was businesslike. She didn't want to be familiar with Chen Zhao at all. Hello, beautiful police lady. This lady has been pulling at me since just now. She wants me to give her $100, or she'll say that I molested her. Chen Zhao was the one who complained first. No, it's not like that. He stole my $100, the woman said angrily in slightly rusty English. Sharon looked at Chen Zhao, and then at the woman with a surprised expression. You mean, he stole your $100? Yes. The woman nodded with certainty. Sharon then looked at Chen Zhao. What do you have to say? You know me. How could I steal her money? The woman sneered, pointed to her mobile phone and said, I have millions of people here who can testify for me. What you did just now has been broadcasted to my fans. Chen Zhao's face suddenly turned livid. Damn, this woman was a streamer. He hadn't realized why the woman had been holding a selfie stick. In the end, she'd been broadcasting the whole time. Also, from her tone, she was quite popular. Seeing Chen Zhao's expression, Sharon immediately knew that he must have done it. Then come with me to the police station. Ha! Actually, I was joking with her. I didn't take the $100 at all. Are you trying to argue again? The woman sneered at Chen Zhao. Actually, I'm a magician, Chen Zhao said awkwardly. That money is actually in your pocket. Feel it if you don't believe me. Do you think I'm stupid? Or that everyone in the broadcast room is stupid? I'm telling the truth. Feel it if you don't believe me. The woman touched her pocket and realized that there really was a ball of paper there. She took it out and saw that it really was $100. When did you put it in? I told you, I'm a magician. Chen Zhao shrugged. The woman tried hard to remember how she'd touched him. He didn't seem to have touched her body at all. Was he really a magician? The comments on the woman's phone flew everywhere. There were all sorts of comments. Just then, the woman saw an eye-catching comment. It was sent by a regular in her broadcast room. He was also the top of the donation list and had the nickname Handsome Taoist. Chapter 2152. On the platform that little Shin was on, the handsome Taoist priest could be considered a rather famous big shot. Ever since the rise of the streaming platform, he'd frequently wandered around the live stream rooms of various beautiful streamers. He'd also tipped large amounts of money in many rooms. Shin's room had also received large amounts of money from the handsome Taoist priest. So, Shin couldn't afford to offend him. However, the money that Chen Zhao had just taken was now in her hands. What else could she say? You can say that your cash isn't the one he just took, the handsome Taoist priest said. Shin's face darkened. She'd planned to do that. But now that the handsome Taoist priest had said that, she couldn't slander him in front of millions of viewers. She was an internet celebrity, but she wasn't a brainless streamer with big boobs. She would never do something like destroying her own image and future. You're lucky. Shin glared at Chen Zhao. Miss, do you still want to sue him? Sharon asked. Or give up the chance? Forget it. Shin had come out to experience the American public and then broadcast to her fans. She also kept a respectful distance from the American police. Chen Zhao stood behind Sharon and gave Shin an annoying smile. His eyes seemed to be saying, "Come and hit me." Shin gritted her teeth. Chen Zhao whistled. Miss Officer, can I leave now? Seeing Chen Zhao's arrogance, the people in the room all clamored to fly across the Pacific to teach him a lesson. Sharon glanced at Chen Zhao and Shin. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. Miss Officer, can you take me away from here? I think he wants to do something bad to me. Sharon thought about it. Where are you going? Sharon thought for a moment. Where are you going? Hotel. To Chen Zhao, this was just a small interlude. With Chen Zhao's current shamelessness, he wouldn't mind even if he showed his ugly face in front of millions of people. With Chen Zhao's current shamelessness, he wouldn't take it to heart even if he showed his ugly face in front of 1 million people. In the evening, Chen Zhao declined Rasva's invitation to stay and left the manor. In the evening, Chen Zhao rejected Rasva's invitation to stay and left the manor. In the evening, Chen Zhao rejected Rasva's invitation to stay and left the manor. Everything went on as usual in the headquarters. Everyone began to prepare for the third Scarlet mission. Everyone was also frantically trying to improve their strength. The difficulty of the first mission was not even on par with the average Scarlet mission. When they chose to search for the giants in Norse mythology, they were also trying their luck. At that time, they didn't have a comprehensive understanding of their own strength. After the mission was completed, they realized that the mission, which was extremely difficult in the eyes of others, was nothing to them. The second mission was to protect the nature guardian. This quest was indeed very difficult. He knew that something unexpected had happened. But in the end, because of Chen Zhao's interference, the danger that should have happened was resolved. This was the third time. They all worked hard and secretly made up their minds to finish the mission before Chen Zhao interfered. Of course, even if they made up their minds, they had to carefully consider the choice of the third mission. Even if they knew that he was very strong. However, they were not invincible in the world. They still had a lot of problems to face, and they still had a lot of shortcomings. Some Scarlet missions were still very dangerous. They could even be said to be impossible. What they needed to choose was a match that matched their strength and abilities, and at the same time, could give them enough of a challenge. Of course, they couldn't choose a mission that was impossible. That kind of mission wasn't challenging themselves. It was asking for trouble. Asking for help from Chen Zhao was definitely not a pleasant thing. Chen Zhao saw Lindsay Beyonce kneeling in front of the Tower of Trials, retching continuously. This had happened to other members in the past. From a medical perspective, this was due to overexertion. The body released too many hormones, which affected all the organs in the body. That was why she retched. But as long as she got used to the situation in the Tower of Trials and calmed herself down, the negative symptoms would disappear naturally. Smiling, Chen Zhao walked up to Lindsay Beyonce. "My dear Miss Beyonce, how do you feel now? Do you want to give up?" Seeing Chen Zhao and his annoying face, Lindsay Beyonce was infuriated. Of course, she'd learned her lesson. She knew that she wasn't Chen Zhao's match. She knew that Chen Zhao was very, very powerful. She just kept her anger in her heart. When she was strong enough, she swore to teach Chen Zhao a lesson. Sometimes, anger can stimulate a person's potential. "Keep being angry at me." Smiling, Chen Zhao turned to leave. Lindsay was even more furious. She wanted to charge up and hit the back of Chen Zhao's head. But after calming down, she gave up on the idea. With the difference in their abilities, this kind of sneak attack was meaningless. It was meaningless to her too. Chen Zhao walked into West's office. West, Gaia, and Ruan Faxburn were gathered together. "President, how come you're here?" "To see you guys. I just heard you say that you're going to Lucy Peninsula. Is this your third Scarlet mission?" "Yes, Lucy Peninsula Crisis." Then Chen Zhao learned more about Lucy Peninsula and the details of the mission. Lucy Peninsula was located in the Arctic Ocean. Because it was in the Arctic Circle, it was also an extremely cold place. However, Lucy Peninsula used to be the headquarters of a magic organization. Because the organization abused magic, they opened a door that shouldn't have been opened. They killed the organization and all the civilians on Lucy Peninsula. Now, it was an abandoned island. The mission was to enter the ice cave on Lucy Peninsula and find and kill the king of those creatures. It was very difficult. But there was one thing that suited the supernatural organization's purpose. It was fine to use force. The only thing this mission required was great power, battle, and more battle. Until now, many teams had entered Lucy Peninsula, but most of them returned in failure. They didn't need to consider if there was a conspiracy. They just needed to do what they were best at. Is Lindsay Beyonce going too? Yes. The Tower of Trials is powerful, but real battles are necessary to train real people. Chapter 2153. It looks like the easiest mission. You just have to fight, but it's also the hardest because it's a pure standard. Are you sure you can do it? Chen Zhao's eyes sparkled. This mission was too attractive to him. He didn't have to worry about fighting at all. He could do whatever he wanted. Hearing Chen Zhao's words, West immediately guessed Chen Zhao's intentions. "President, that's why we need to use this mission to evaluate our abilities. If you interfere, the evaluation will be meaningless." Chen Zhao pursed his lips. There are many powerful organizations in the world, but none of them can complete the mission. "President. All right, before you send out a distress signal, I won't interfere. Is that okay?" "Yes." West nodded in satisfaction. "Oh, the Holy Glory One is held on January 1st. You can't leave so soon, right? It's only held once every 10 years. It'll be a pity if you don't participate. Even if we don't get a ranking, we can at least see the level of the top spiritualists in the world in the past 10 years. I'm fine, Gaia said. At the same time, she looked at West. West, what do you think? West thought for a moment. Then it's fine to delay the Lucy Peninsula crisis for a while. The Holy Glory one is indeed a rare event. Actually, Chen Zhao was right. They would be able to witness the most outstanding spiritualists that had appeared in the world in the past decade. This batch of spiritualists might not be the strongest, but they represented the future of the spiritual world. Who's participating for the 10 spots? Chen Zhao asked. I'll participate too, West said. Since we're going to participate, we must send the most outstanding members. Hallies is 1, Engelite is 1, Jolanash is 1, Morid is 1. Chen Zhao read out the names one by one. After Gaia and West's confirmation, the final spots were confirmed. Gaia, West, Helith, Engelite, Jolanash, Morid, Norma, and Dongye Tianchi. 8 spots were confirmed. The remaining 2 spots would be fought for by other people in the association. In this list, West had the strongest ability to suppress enemies. Gaia, Helith, and Norma were all first-line combatants. No one would doubt their strength. Jolanash, Morid, Engelite, and Dongye Tianchi were the most outstanding among the second-string combatants. Therefore, there wouldn't be any disputes if their names were confirmed. The difference in strength between the second-line and third-line members was not very obvious. Therefore, Chen Zhao decided to have a fair internal competition. Actually, it didn't matter who went. This was because they weren't participating in the Holy Glory tournament to get a good ranking. Failed again. Jolanash came to Lind Beyonce's side. Lind Beyonce had been in and out of the Tower of Trials, but she had made some progress. The first thing she confirmed was what Jolene Nash had said earlier. She realized that almost everyone in the association was extremely powerful. The strength that she had once been proud of was not even worth mentioning in front of these people. Then, she began to try to break through the first level. But in the beginning, all her attempts were fruitless. Every time a beast tide appeared, it would be an instant kill. There was no second possibility. But after a few adjustments, she found the feeling. From the initial instant kill to the subsequent 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Now, she could hold on for a minute. But it was meaningless. The condition to pass was to kill 100 monsters. No matter how long she could hold on, she would never pass if she didn't reach the condition. However, she was used to being alone and couldn't find the trick. She didn't know how to find someone to help her. She only knew to try, and try again. But she was at a bottleneck now. She couldn't hold on for more than 30 seconds. Seeing Lind Beyonce enter and exit the Tower of Trials, Jolanash knew that she was in trouble. In fact, she had in the past too. But back then, she had someone to ask. Apart from Chen Zhao, Gaia was the first person to pass. After that, there were more people, so she had many people to ask for help. But Lind Beyonce's personality determined that even if she was in trouble, she would bear it herself instead of asking for help. As someone who had experienced it, Jolanash felt that she had to help Lind Beyonce solve her problem. I don't think I did my best, Lind Beyonce said, unwilling to admit defeat. I'll definitely do better next time. The first thing you need to do is not let yourself be surrounded by monsters, Jolanash said. They'll only appear from one direction. Lind Beyonce wanted to retort, but after thinking carefully, she immediately understood what Jolanash meant. The monsters would quickly form an encirclement around them. But if she kept retreating, the monsters wouldn't be able to surround her. That way, she wouldn't have to be on guard against attacks from behind at all times. I understand. Lind Beyonce stood up again. She planned to try it immediately, but before entering the Tower of Trials, she looked back at Jolanash. "Thank you." In fact, this kind of tactical plan, even she could think of it herself. It was just a matter of time. But Jolanash's reminder greatly reduced the cost of her time. Although it was impossible for her to pass the first level of the Tower of Trials on her first try, it had greatly improved her original results. This was a trial that tested her body and mind. In the process of being killed by the monsters in the Tower of Trials again and again, she was also growing again and again. But this trial wasn't something that could be passed just because of practice. Strength was also a big hurdle. If one didn't have enough strength, even the most brilliant techniques were just empty talk. For example, even if Chen Zhao didn't do anything and just stood there and let a professional boxer hit him, Chen Zhao would still win. Lin Beyonce's strength was the barrier that limited her ability to pass. Even if she could survive the first 99 monsters, it wouldn't be considered a victory if the last monster ran out of magic power. The one who had the last laugh would be the real winner. On the first level of the Tower of Trials, one had to learn how to adapt on the spot and how to seize the gaps in the monster's formation. Then, one had to learn how to use one's advantage and how to control and distribute one's magic power. Then, one had to hone their skills and finally overcome the magic power bottleneck. Chapter 2154. Lindsay Beyonce came out of the Tower of Trials. Even though it was another failed attempt. But she clearly felt that she had grown. It wasn't the growth of magic power. It was the accumulation of her experience. She recalled her previous attempts. She clearly knew where she went wrong in her previous attempts. Some mistakes she didn't realize at the time. But now that she thought about it, she realized that it was ridiculous. But Lindsay Beyonce didn't plan to continue. She was too tired today. She felt extremely tired both physically and mentally. Originally, she wanted to take a shower and have a good sleep. But when she reached the empty space, she found that a stage had been set up. A circle of people surrounded the stage. Maev and Moore were fighting on the stage. Lindsay Beyonce remembered Maev. She heard from Jolanash that Maev was the only one who joined the supernatural organization before her. And the awakening time was very short. But Maev only took 2 days to pass the first level of the Tower of Trials. Thinking that her progress on the first level of the Tower of Trials was still far away, Lindsay Beyonce felt depressed. But what really made Lindsay Beyonce remember Maev wasn't her strength. She was someone who was even more difficult to get close to than herself. Maev's magic was very special. She used sound waves to attack her enemies. But she was still not as good as Moore. Moore was using doppelganger. Although he was only 16, his magic was far better than Maev's in both experience and strength. So the result was obvious. Moore easily defeated Maev. Maev shrugged and walked off the stage without saying a word. So far, Maev had only tried in the Tower of Trials. But Moore had accumulated a lot of battle experience. So Maev's defeat was inevitable. Who wants to practice with me next? Moore was quite arrogant. The first-line fighters wouldn't come up anyway. The strongest second-line fighters had already gotten a spot. So they wouldn't give him a hard time. So he could be arrogant. Just then, Colin ran up. Moore, I'll play with you. Moore rolled his eyes. Forget it. To be honest, although Colin was Angelite's son, Moore was Colin's guide. Moore had taught Corin many things. Below the ring, everyone looked at Angelite with interest. Angelite, do you think Colin can win? Gaia asked in a deliberately joking tone. How could he win? Colin isn't as cunning as Moore. At this moment, Kellen took the initiative to attack. He had inherited Angelite's bloodline and possessed super high speed. He went straight for more. Although he could not achieve his father's freakish speed explosion. However, he was still confident that his speed was far beyond that of an ordinary person. At the very least, Moore definitely wouldn't be able to react in time. In an instant, he rushed to Moore and made a face in front of Moore. Seeing Moore's panicked expression, Karen felt a little proud. You lost. As he spoke, Colin reached out to push Moore. No, you lost. The moment Colin touched Moore suddenly revealed a strange smile. By now, Colin had already realized that something was wrong, but he couldn't stop his movements. The moment it touched Moore suddenly exploded. Colin let out a blood-curdling scream as he was sent flying out of the arena. Of course, he was on the same side, so Moore couldn't be too cruel. Although Colin was a mess, he only suffered some superficial wounds. He quickly stood up. Moore, how is this possible? Why did your real body explode? Who said that was my real body? No, that's a doppelganger. I remember it very clearly. I remember every move you made in the ring, including how many times you used the doppelganger spell and what kind of moves you made. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. I learned a new spell that allows me to switch between my real body and clone at will. My clone can be my real body, and my real body can be a clone. Colin was depressed. Do you have to be so serious to compete with me? Actually, he knew that he couldn't beat Moore. The difference between them was obvious. Jocelyn, Nash, what are they doing? It's a competition. Can't you tell? Competition. Why? Or is it a regular event for the supernatural organization? Neither. It's for the decennial Battle of Holy Glory. What's this event? It's a gathering of the most outstanding spiritualists in the world in the past 10 years. 10 of them will be given the title of Holy Glory, Jocelyn said. So you can see the most outstanding spiritualists in the world. You want to participate? Go and try. Lind Beyonce went into the ring excitedly. She had made obvious progress, but the difference in strength was obvious. There were no ups and downs, so Moore didn't waste any time. Moore kicked her in the butt and sent her rolling down the ring. Lind Beyonce was depressed. But a loss was a loss. She felt good about it. Returning to Jocelyn, she asked, what's the difference between me and that boy? In terms of magic power, he's about 20 times better than you. In terms of destructive power, he's 100 times better than you. Is there such a big difference between us? The difference in mana can be made up for. However, the difference in destructive power is due to the difference in attributes. At the same level, it's impossible for you to have more destructive power than him. There's also the difference in combat experience. It's difficult to make an accurate conclusion. However, Moore has participated in several battles with Guild Leader. That means I can't get the spot, right? You can't. That's all you're capable of. Fine. Lind Beyonce had no choice, even though she was a little unwilling. After all, she didn't have the right to ask others to let her through the back door. But when she thought about meeting the top spiritualists in the world, if she wanted this chance, she would have to wait for 10 years. She would be very disappointed. Lind Beyonce watched the competition in the ring. The last 2 places were taken by Moore and Giselle. Of course, this didn't mean they were the strongest among the remaining people. But they didn't overdo it. No one really used their trump cards to fight with their lives on the line. After the fight was over, everyone was still talking and laughing. Lind Beyonce swore to herself that she would catch up to the people before her and Qin Zhao. Jocelyn, wait for me. It was the first time Beyonce took the initiative to talk to Jocelyn. 9 Heaven's Divine King. Chapter 2155. Old Zhang, are there any tickets for the Battle of Holy Glory? No, what do you think it is? Just bring people here, Zhang Tianyi said straightforwardly. How do I contact the organizers when I get to Istanbul? When you get to the airport, you can find a red and blue taxi and say you're going to the desolate market. The taxi drivers will take you there. So I don't need anything to prove my identity. Badges, letters, something like that. Just call me when you get there. It's not that troublesome, Zhang Tianyi said nonchalantly. Zhang Tianyi said disapprovingly, after all, you are all recommended by me. No one will not give me face. You're so shameless. Chen Zhao pursed his lips. The fame conference would bring a lot of trouble. But most of the time, fame could make one's face bigger. Are you jealous? If so, tell your people to perform well and try to become famous. Come on, no matter how big your face is, it doesn't work with me. Hearing that, Zhang Tianyi was infuriated. I suddenly remembered that a few days ago, someone stole $100 from a girl on the street. How shameless. How dare he call himself a master? Chen Zhao's face twitched. How did Zhang Tianyi know about this? Old Zhang, your disciple is still in LA. You better be more polite to me. Zhang Tianyi was furious. Do you believe that I'll tell your people to make spare parts when we get to Istanbul? At most, I won't go. What can you do to me? Fly over and hit me. Every time the two talked, they didn't have a peaceful conversation. Every time, they would threaten each other. In the end, they parted on bad terms. But the next time they talked, it was as if nothing had happened. Istanbul, it also has a more resounding name, Byzantium, or Constantinople. It had once been the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. Back then, Istanbul had been the political and cultural center. Now, it still had a very important position. In the spirit world, Istanbul also had a very special status. This time, Chen Zhao didn't plan on bringing his family to Istanbul. After all, it wasn't far and they weren't going for a vacation. When the Battle of Holy Glory started, Istanbul would definitely be filled with spiritualists. Moreover, most of the spiritualists were top-notch. Although most spiritualists in the spirit world abided by the rule of not attacking and harassing ordinary people, but when the forest was big, there would always be some birds with water in their heads. In terms of danger, it was definitely more dangerous than usual. Chen Zhao hoped that the next time his family traveled, they could take his private plane. Thinking of private jets, Chen Zhao thought of his previous plan to build a private airport. Chen Zhao picked up the phone and called Fellwood Cisco. Merry Christmas, Fellwood. Mr. Chen, Merry Christmas, Fellwood greeted politely. Actually, he had called Chen Zhao on Christmas Day. Fellwood, how's Stephen's villa going? We're still building the foundation, but my men will be on vacation around Christmas, so we'll only start work after the new year. Fellwood thought that Chen Zhao was here to help Stephen ask about the progress of the project, so he explained honestly. Remember what I told you before about my plan to build a private airport? Do you have enough manpower now? Yes, Mr. Chen. Fellwood's heart skipped a beat. Chen Zhao had given him the best Christmas present. Our company just hired 100 more employees, so we have plenty of manpower. Even if a few projects start at the same time, it won't affect the progress. That's for the best. Send a designer over to check out the location with me and then do some measurements. Also, I'll have my lawyer take over with you. Got it. My men are on standby. When do you think it's convenient? I can go anytime too, Chen Zhao said. How about we set it for tomorrow? Do your engineers have time tomorrow? If they're still on vacation, we'll change the date. But I'll be going to Europe in a few days, so I can only have my lawyer talk to you then. We have time. Our company's engineers think the Christmas holiday is too long, Fellwood said immediately. Of course, he definitely didn't mean what he said. Nevertheless, Fellwood felt that he had given his men a huge present. He would be happy to end his vacation. The next day, Fellwood brought 2 engineers to Qin Zhao's manor. The 2 engineers were old acquaintances of Qin Zhao's. After all, they had contributed to Qin Zhao's family living in Mirror Lake Manor. Mr. Qin, are you planning to build a private airport around Mirror Lake? Qin Zhao had this idea, but he also had another plan, to build a private airport next to the supernatural organization's headquarters. Qin Zhao was also conflicted about where to build it. Mr. Qin, I think you should consider this carefully, one of the engineers said seriously. It's not a wise choice to build an airport near your house. Why? First, the noise from taking off and landing, the engineer said. The engineer said, secondly, there's the issue of safety. Even if you don't use the airport often, when a medium or large plane lands close to the ground, the noise it brings will have a great impact on the human body, especially if you have children at home. Lastly, there's the expropriation law. When a plane runs into trouble in the air, the government has the right to temporarily expropriate any airport. Los Angeles is a high-use air route area. Every year, there are more or less hundreds of similar incidents. Therefore, it's very likely that airline companies' planes will take off and land at your private airport. The engineer's words completely dispelled Qin Zhao's idea. Okay, then let's build a private airport somewhere else. The headquarters occupied a much larger area than the area around Mirror Lake. Therefore, there was enough space to build a private airport. Mr. Qin, what's your budget? The budget doesn't matter, as long as it meets my requirements, Qin Zhao said. A parking apron, hangar, and 3-lane runway that can park at least 5 mid-sized planes. That's about it. I'll take you there today to measure it. Fellwood, give me a quote. Okay, Mr. Qin. Fellwood wasn't unfamiliar with the supernatural organization's headquarters either. After all, his construction team had built it. Bookmark for easier reading. Chapter 2156. Qin Zhao brought Fellwood and the 2 engineers to the headquarters of the association. West accompanied Fellwood, Cisco and the others to inspect the geology of the construction site. My company is here, Qin Zhao said. In order not to affect my employees' work, I hope that the construction team won't come here. If they need to come, they have to call me first. Of course, I understand. This place is about 3 kilometers from your company, so the noise won't affect your company's working hours. Fellwood took the lead and said that he would keep his employees in check. Fellwood couldn't provide the design plan and budget in a short time. However, it was estimated to be at least $400 million. Qin Zhao didn't want to build a normal tarmac. He also needed an airplane warehouse. It wasn't as big as a civil airport, but it was still very large. Among them, the most expensive was the runway. Qin Zhao wanted to buy a large private plane. It wasn't a small plane, so it had high requirements for the runway. In fact, with the condition of the road surface, it was barely enough for large aircraft to take off and land. However, this kind of landing would cause great damage to the aircraft and the runway. So, Qin Zhao felt that since he was going to build it, he had to build the best runway. He didn't lack money anyway. Little Xinxin's real name was Li Axian. She was just a streamer, but there weren't many streamers who could travel all over the world nowadays. With a million fans, she was considered a big streamer in the streamer circle. Her income wasn't much lower than second or third-tier celebrities. Of course, Lee Axian's content was new too. She wasn't like most beautiful streamers who sang and danced in the broadcast room. Her live stream content was quite rich. Apart from seeing the world, one could also see the customs of many places. There were the most prosperous cities in the world, as well as the backward tribes in Africa. Friends, today I'll bring you to see one of the best restaurants in LA. As Lee Axian walked, she broadcast on her phone. Marina's restaurant. It's here. Some of the viewers in the broadcast room belonged to the greatest king category. They could boast all sorts of things whenever they opened their mouths. As long as someone said it, they would refute it to show how knowledgeable they were. For example, Lee Axian said that Marina's restaurant was one of the best restaurants in LA. Immediately, a group of people jumped out to refute. Most of them had never even left their own province before. Not to mention going abroad. But the moment he opened his mouth, he talked about international affairs, and the moment he opened his mouth, he talked about things that didn't exist in the sky or on the ground. Of course, as a professional anchor, Lee Axian would not argue with this group of trolls. When he entered the restaurant, there was a long queue outside. Lee Axian didn't stop the live stream. She was still talking to the live stream, as expected of a famous restaurant in Los Angeles. Just look at the number of people here. You'll know. I heard that many Hollywood stars like to dine here, and this restaurant doesn't accept reservations. All customers who come here to dine can only line up here. At this moment, a waiter in charge of maintaining order at the entrance of the restaurant walked over. "Miss, I'm sorry, you can't take pictures here." Lee Axian pursed her lips to express her dissatisfaction. "Why not?" "Because some of the customers here don't want to be on camera. Do you understand what I mean? Looks like I can only stop the live broadcast for now." Lee Axian understood this rule. After all, there were many public figures here. If there were paparazzi coming in and out every day, that would only damage the reputation of the restaurant. After Lee Axian explained to the viewers, most of them expressed their understanding. However, a small number of people were still clamoring to unfollow the stream. Lee Axian turned a blind eye to the clamor of those people. These people usually had the least presence, so they always wanted to find some presence online. But even on the internet, no one was willing to pay attention to them. Lee Axian was about to close the stream and put away her phone. An unexpected voice sounded. "Hey, isn't this the famous anchor?" Chen Zhao teased Lee Axian as he walked over. Lee Axian took 2 steps back and narrowed her eyes at him. "Why are you here?" "Pfft. You sound like I can't be here. You sound like you can afford to spend here." Last time, Chen Zhao had robbed her of $100, so Lee Axian naturally thought that he was the type who didn't have a good life. Although Chen Zhao was dressed like a dog, it was probably just for show. "Hey, are you looking down on me?" "I am," Lee Axian said provocatively. "Okay, let's spend here. Let's see who spends more. The loser is a coward." Lee Axian wanted to reject subconsciously, but the viewers in the stream started to make a ruckus. "Little Axian, bet with him." "Why are you scared?" "I'll tip you how much you spend." A few bosses in the stream shouted. Seeing Chen Zhao's arrogant tone, they were all filled with righteous indignation. Moreover, they didn't think that Chen Zhao could spend much here. Lee Axian didn't care about the trolls. They wouldn't bring her any benefits. But she couldn't ignore the bosses in the stream. They were Lee Axian's bread and butter. "What are we betting on?" "Whoever loses has to pay the other party's spending amount," Chen Zhao said. "What a joke. If you randomly bet, no one can beat you. If you pay with my money, this bet will be meaningless. Since we're betting on who can spend more, of course we have to pay, Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. Hearing Chen Zhao's confident tone, Li Axian wanted to back out again. If you're scared now, then forget it. Remember to take a detour when you see me in the future, as well as those bastards in your live stream. Chen Zhao's expression was as if he was asking for a beating. Oh, who's not happy? Come to LA and beat me up. Kid, leave your address if you dare. I know a gang in LA. Do you think I won't tell them to kill you? The viewers in the live stream room were all cursing the heavens and the earth. They were extremely arrogant. Li Axian couldn't back down now. If she backed out at this time, the people in her live streaming room would probably rebel. Fine, Li Axian said coldly. If you want to compete, then compete. But you better be willing to lose. You too. Chen Zhao had a smile on his face. But you have to get in first. It's my turn. With that, Li Axian left, leaving Chen Zhao with a cool back view. Li Axian entered the restaurant. Just as she was about to turn around and mock Chen Zhao, she realized that Chen Zhao had followed her in. Mobile version of the fastest.d website, M. Chapter 2157. Li Axian was about to put away her phone and stop the broadcast. But the audience in the room were all clamoring for a live broadcast. You can't broadcast here. Li Axian wanted to explain. But the audience wouldn't listen at all. Just broadcast like this. If someone comes, just stop, Chen Zhao said, pursing his lips. Chen Zhao pursed his lips and said, these millions of people can be witnesses. I hope that when your pretty streamer loses, you guys can really be generous. Don't just talk big. Shut up, loser. Just wait to lose. The price of one meal for me is more than your annual salary. Chen Zhao sat next to Li Axian's table and snapped his fingers. Sir, what can I do for you? Give me the 10 most expensive dishes on the menu. With that, Chen Zhao looked at Li Axian provocatively. Oh, don't waste food in front of a million people. Li Axian took a deep breath and sneered. You don't know, right? Before I traveled around the world, I was a big eater. With that, Li Axian called the waiter over. When the waiter came over, he first glanced at the phone on the table and then at Chen Zhao. But he didn't say anything. Miss, what can I do for you? Give me all the dishes on the menu. What? Miss? You're alone. Of course, Li Axian said matter-of-factly. At the same time, she placed a Citibank Platinum card on the plate. Don't worry, I don't have money to pay. As you wish. Please wait a moment. The waiter left after Li Axian ordered. Ha! That guy is dumbfounded. He definitely doesn't know Xinxin's appetite. Let alone him, even if there were 10 more people, they still wouldn't be little Xinxin's match. She's the #1 glutton in China. I hope he has money to pay for dinner. Chen Zhao's dishes were served first. He glanced at Li Axian. I'll start eating first. Chen Zhao had to consider his image when eating in his own restaurant. Therefore, he couldn't do anything that was too inappropriate. For example, he definitely couldn't grab food with his hands. But the way he ate was definitely not elegant. Soon, Chen Zhao finished the plate of squid in sauce. Then he turned his attention to the second plate of goose in sauce. When Chen Zhao finished the goose, Li Axian finally served the first dish. Li Axian's actions were not ladylike at all. It was also at this time that she showed her true colors as a foodie. Soon, Chen Zhao finished all 10 dishes. Li Axian's movements were also very fast. She followed closely behind and finished the 10th dish. Then, Li Axian turned to Chen Zhao. Can you still eat? Chen Zhao snapped his fingers again and called the waiter over. Give me another serving of the same dish. Yes, sir. There were all sorts of comments from the audience in the live streaming room. I didn't expect this guy to be so good at eating. But I think he's at his limit. After all, the 10 servings he ordered are not small. Even 3 normal people might not be able to finish them. They are competing to see who consumes more, not who eats more. So what? In any case, I'm going to support our little Xin today. Little Xin has the support of 1 million people. Don't tell me she can't defeat this guy. The food in this restaurant was very good. But it was also very expensive. Little Xin wondered if she could recoup her losses from tonight's live streaming. She looked up at Chen Zhao. His appetite really wasn't small. However, little Xin believed that she wouldn't lose to Chen Zhao in terms of both appetite and wallet. Chen Zhao finished the 2nd serving of 10 dishes. Not to be outdone, little Xin said, don't force yourself. You might get sick. I'll say the same thing back to you, Chen Zhao said. As a doctor, I advise you to go to the hospital for corrective surgery for your deformed stomach. Of course, after this meal. Little Xin sneered and replied, aren't you a magician? Since when did you become a doctor? Being a doctor is my main profession. Magic is my hobby. If you need me to recommend a hospital, I'll be happy to help. The two were at each other's throats. They didn't give in on each other from the dining table to their tongues. However, Chen Zhao had to admit that Li Axian was the woman with the biggest appetite Chen Zhao had ever seen. Or rather, the human with the biggest appetite. Of course, Chen Zhao had seen a glutton before. He also knew what a glutton was, but Li Axian really could eat. Her way of eating was actually very taxing on her body. However, Chen Zhao wouldn't pity her. After all, this was how she made a living. Chen Zhao had already finished the 40 dishes. Little Xin followed closely behind. Waiter, give me a bottle of nameless wine. Li Axian looked up at Chen Zhao. What, you can't eat anymore? Chen Zhao chuckled. Did you forget that our bet isn't about who can eat more, but who can spend more? So what? Do you think a bottle of wine can win the bet? You better look at the menu first. Li Axian picked up the menu and looked at the price of the wine. Soon, she saw the price of the nameless wine, $345,000. Li Axian's expression changed. The price of this bottle of wine was almost 2 million renminbi. It wasn't that she couldn't afford it, but it was beyond her imagination. Most importantly, she couldn't back down now. If she admitted defeat now, she would have to bear the high cost. But if she didn't, she would have to order at least 1 bottle. Waiter, give me a bottle of nameless wine too. Yes, Mississippi, the live stream exploded. A large number of viewers swarmed into it. Li Axian's live stream had more than 1.5 million viewers. Although it was a breakthrough for Li Axian. However, Li Axian still felt heartache over the expensive wine. It was too expensive, really too expensive. The viewers in the live stream were also discussing the expensive wine like crazy. Waiter, come here. Li Axian saw Chen Zhao order 10 more dishes after the wine was served. Could he still eat? You better be careful, Li Axian said deliberately. His dishes and wine are worth at least 500,000. The waiter looked back at Li Axian and then left in silence. Li Axian was also shocked. Weren't the waiters afraid of death? If Chen Zhao couldn't pay, the waiters would be affected too, right? Li Axian could only force herself to order more dishes. At this moment, her heart was bleeding. 3 million yuan for one meal. Who could she ask for justice? She could get the money back from Qin Zhao if she won. But, is this guy really rich? Li Axian was still doubtful. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 2158. After eating 50 dishes, even Li Axian couldn't take it anymore. Towards the end, Li Axian was already stuffing food into her mouth. However, Qin Zhao still maintained a highly efficient eating method. Qin Zhao grinned and looked at Li Axian's ugly expression. You look like you can't eat anymore. Let's see how you're going to pay later. Li Axian couldn't eat anymore and didn't plan on ordering anymore. After all, wasting food in front of 1 million people would probably get her stream banned. Moreover, she didn't think that even if she won, she could get the wager. In the end, the winner would still be decided by the bill. If the man before her couldn't even pay, she would naturally win. Waiter, bill please. When Li Axian received the bill, her heart couldn't help but twitch. Just then, Qin Zhao also waved his hand. Bring my bill. After receiving the bill, Qin Zhao stood up and walked to Li Axian. $585,000. Looks like you lost. Li Axian sneered at Qin Zhao. You haven't paid yet. Paid? This is my own store. Why should I pay? Qin Zhao's smile was still so annoying. Li Axian's eyes widened. At the same time, the million people in the stream were also shocked. You mean, this store is yours? Didn't I tell you? Oh. Maybe I forgot, but I still have to thank you for spending $459,000 in my store. You lied to me. When did I lie to you? Please tell me, when did I lie to you? Li Axian thought about it but couldn't find a reason to retort. Qin Zhao had never lied to her from start to finish. It was just that Li Axian thought that Qin Zhao was a poor guy who would rob even $100. What she needed to consider now was whether she should go back on her word. From a legal point of view, their bet had no legal effect. However, Li Axian was a public figure, after all. She couldn't go back on her word, and in front of 1 million people at that. It would be a huge blow to her career. I lost. Li Axian finally decided to accept the result. She lost the bet, although she wasn't really willing. But at this time, she was already riding a tiger and unable to back down. At this moment, the big shots in the live stream room all generously donated money. In a short period of time, Li Axian received hundreds of thousands of tips. Although it was a drop in the bucket compared to her losses tonight. However, the popularity of her live streaming room had skyrocketed, allowing her to recover and compensate for some of her losses. But Qin Zhao still made a fool of him. Li Axian still left with an unhappy face. At the door, Li Axian was waiting for the car. She watched as Qin Zhao's car slowly drove past her. The car Qin Zhao was driving was the one she had taken a selfie with in Hollywood. Miss, are you alone? Want me to give you a ride? Don't you want it? That's all. Bye. Looking at Qin Zhao's back, Li Axian stomped her feet in anger. To Qin Zhao, winning a few $100,000 was really nothing. Even if he did nothing, his daily income would be more than this. However, this little interlude was interesting to Qin Zhao. Boss, are you sure you don't need me to go with you to Istanbul? Portia looked at him expectantly. Her expression and eyes already told him that she really wanted to go to Istanbul. No need, Qin Zhao said indifferently. This time, Qin Zhao planned to go alone. There were so many kids at home. Dan Fairlie probably couldn't take care of them all by herself. So, he let Portia stay and help her. As for Portia's personal thoughts, they weren't important. "Boss, you really won't reconsider?" "Why should I? It's still something that's been decided. But I want to go to Istanbul." "Oh, if you want, I can give you a few days off." "But aren't you going the day after tomorrow?" "Yes, but I don't need you to go." No matter what Portia said or hinted, Chen Zhao was unmoved. Fairlie came out with 2 drinks. "Chen, since Portia wants to go, let her go. There's still a lot of work in L.A. If she's gone, who's going to take care of it for me?" Chen Zhao's words sounded righteous, but Portia was depressed. How could Portia not know her boss's personality? Ever since she became Chen Zhao's personal assistant, she had some understanding of her boss's personality. After such a long time, she knew Chen Zhao like the back of her hand. Of course, it could also be said that she deeply hated him. Chen Zhao never considered her feelings when he did anything. Chen Zhao had always been stubborn. He would insist on carrying out his decisions. He didn't care if she was willing or not. Most of the tasks that Chen Zhao gave her were troublesome ones. Although she had to go to Istanbul the day after tomorrow, there were indeed many things to do in the next 2 days. Visiting friends and family was a big deal. She couldn't avoid the ways of the world. Also, Felwood Cisco had given her the design of the first private airport and a preliminary price. The preliminary budget was $350 million. But Chen Zhao didn't like the design. Without another word, Felwood called the designer to redesign it. Felwood Cisco had always held a sincere attitude towards his parents who provided him with food and clothing. In the past 2 years, Chen Zhao had provided him with countless projects. Therefore, to Felwood, Chen Zhao was like his bread and butter. Seagate Yacht Company called again. They wanted to invite Chen Zhao to a banquet at their headquarters. Chen Zhao would be crazy to accept such an invitation. He would spend 20 hours on a plane to attend such a classy banquet. There were also many things to do at the headquarters. Because everyone was preparing for the 3rd Scarlet mission. The other 10 people who got the spots were also preparing for the Battle of Holy Glory. But no one knew the specific details of the Battle of Holy Glory. So, they couldn't prepare even if they wanted to. But one thing was for sure. The most important requirement for participating in the Battle of Holy Glory was strength. As long as you were strong enough, you could ignore any rules. Take Chen Zhao for example. Even if he didn't actively seek a spot for the Battle of Holy Glory, someone would still give it to him. It was the 3rd day of departure. Everyone came to Mirror Lake Manor and set off with Chen Zhao. Portia didn't know if it was to take revenge on Chen Zhao, but she booked a ticket for 8 in the morning. With Portia's understanding of Chen Zhao's schedule, she definitely knew that he wouldn't wake up so early. But she couldn't change the ticket now. On the way to the airport, Chen Zhao was still sleeping in the back seat. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.